John, how's it going?
Oh, well, no good.
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah?
So-
This is how we're doing it?
Yeah, we're going a little different. We're good.
Oh.
We're doing.
This is the NPR?
We're taking the NPR route today. Welcome everybody to the podcast. Everybody, today we're going to talk about video games and no, fuck that. It's the Rage Select podcast. I gotta. The only thing that keeps me going is I gotta get my juices going right here at the beginning, and then just slowly ride down like a barrel over Niagara
You mean
Falls.
you're still not riding our cowboy high from Indie Friday?
Oh my god, that was so awesome! I went back.
It's not like, yeehaw, let's do the podcast.
I can only do so much yeehaw before it starts to. I'm just, oh man. I actually went back and started playing Westerado again, and I got fairly far. I found a bunch of stuff I hadn't found before.
Oh, nice.
So I was just zipping through the game before. It was a really fun game.
I bought it. I haven't actually gotten a chance to sit down and play.
I really like it. But like I said on the video, I think that the Wild West is a perfect place to put video games, and I don't know why anybody doesn't do it.
I will say, I'm really sad that it dawned on me after I left here that at no point did I mention Briscoe County Jr. During the entire video.
We didn't do a lot of name dropping. There were some bad Lone Ranger jokes with Johnny Depp to have been done in there.
Yeah, I'm sure we could have made a reference to Back to the Future 3 at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. There was plenty. We missed it all. We just dropped. I dropped all the balls. I was holding all. I had all the balls.
You had all the balls in your hand.
I just dropped.
You were just trying to move them around in your hand, and then you
balls.
dropped them.
Yeah, just too many balls in my hand. But
all right,
no, this is going to be a packed show this week because there is a shitload of news and announcements. And
all right,
there isn't anything coming out. Mind you, right now,
no. Except for news and announcements, that's all we got.
Right, movie trailers. Like Avengers 2 isn't out yet, but there's it's like they just decided, fuck it. Instead of putting all those trailers in front of Avengers 2, we're just gonna show them all to you right now. So we got all that stuff. We got a whole bunch of other stuff. We got your questions. We got top to bottom. But John, something remarkable happened to me last week.
Really?
Some unbelievable. Just that was the sound of my mind being blown out of the front. No,
can I take a guess?
Yes.
Did you get laid?
No.
Well, I got no more guesses.
You don't want to take. You don't want even one more guess. You got a new pair of pants. You got a haircut.
Well, I'm trying to think what would be mind-blowing to you.
No, something actually happened to me last week. That's what was mind-blowing about last week.
Oh, something happened. Okay.
Yeah,
what happened?
Well, I turned old. That's what happened. No, I went out. So
you're only as old as you feel, man. And
well, then I'm like 160 because I'm fucking just exhausted.
I'm like 15 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. How do you do it? Is it just mostly methamphetamines or
no? I just I
Benadryl and Crocodile, Benadryl and Tylenol PM.
No, I mean I
don't know why that would keep you awake.
Legos, a life of Legos, video games, and comic books.
Sounds great.
Sounds
great. I need to get the Legos and comic books back in because all I got is video games. I'm not sure. I played Strive a whole bunch today.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch yesterday, and it's weird, man. It's one of those games that I think I like it, but I'm not exactly sure because I just start playing it and then 3 hours are gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is just gonna play one more game. But no, last week I had a birthday and it was on Thursday. We actually recorded the podcast on Wednesday. And then it ticked over to me my birthday on the same day. Not a lot of hullabaloo this year. Well, we'll get to that part of the story.
I'm going to say I'm a terrible friend. I didn't wish you a happy birthday on your birthday. I didn't go to your birthday party.
Dude.
I completely forgot it happened until you just mentioned it right now.
Dude, okay, well, I'm not... We'll get to the whole birthday party thing, but in a fit of weird rage at some point, 3 or 4 years ago, I turned my Facebook so that it doesn't even auto-notify people that it is my birthday. And if you try to write on my Facebook wall, you can't. Nobody can write on my wall. So when everybody just is happy birthday. Somehow I turned that shit off. I think I half deleted my Facebook profile one time.
Yeah.
And then that was part of me doing that. I don't even remember what. But in any case, so on Thursday, my sister and I went out and we had dinner. And we went to this really super nice restaurant. I shudder to think what the bill was. She was paying, and
steak and lobster.
Yeah, well, alligator and tenderloin.
Just as good.
Yeah. No, it was this place here in Austin called Fork and Kind, I think is what it was called. Something like that. And, man, it was one of the... It's funny. So for people who aren't around here, right?
Yeah.
South Austin they get everything all the time, right? They're like they're like spoiled rich children.
Yes.
Because they get the best food, they get the best bars, they get the only thing they don't get is parking. And I will literally sacrifice all the best of Austin just so that I have a place to park up here up north. Also, it costs like 4 times as much to live down south. So but what's nice is that Austin has gone to such great lengths to raise rents and property taxes everywhere that all of like the fancy restaurants, you can't get land in South Austin anymore. So they're finally oozing up closer to where you and I live. Like,
okay.
On Amanda's birthday, we went over to that slab place, which was terrible, but but that was started as a food truck. There's a place up in Wells Branch that does lobster rolls. That's real good.
There's a lot of places that start off as food trucks, then become brick and mortar stores, and then close down.
Yes,
I miss you, I miss you, Man Bites Dog.
I
miss you.
Was that a thing?
That was they closed them all down.
Man, I don't even want to talk about last year. One of my very favorite restaurants in this entirety of Austin that I've been going to for years shut down, and I found out about it 2 days before it happened, and I had to record both of those days, and I couldn't even go and have myself the last meal. It was a place on the drag called Veggie Heaven, and it was like an Asian vegetarian restaurant. And then this thing called the Protein 2000 that's like these big chunks of glutinous meat substitute that are breaded and fried, and they put a bunch of broccoli and they give you some rice. Oh my god, it was so good. Fucking
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so we go to this place, and it's the fancy tits great. Like, it's super, I got a $20 like you look at the beer menu, right?
Yeah.
And like they don't have taps there. You can't just get we can get like a bottle of like shitty beer, right?
Yeah.
But for like there was the 20 was like the cheapest. They went for like 60. You would get this big bottle that was like 2.5 beers basically. So I got one of those. Sister got a bunch of wine. We did have the appetizer was fried pieces of alligator with homemade sriracha. It was fucking just incredible.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah, for my entree, I had like I'm sorry, this is like food porno, right?
Yeah.
I had it was like a tenderloin, like a little tenderloin piece, and it had, what did it have? It had did it have an egg? No, it didn't have an egg on it. It had something on top of it, like a sauce, but then it was on top of basically like this weird like shredded corned beef hash that was made like with shredded vegetable parts in it. So it was like, you get your thing of meat with some like garnish on the top, and it's on top of like mixed vegetables that have meat mixed in with them. So it was like 2 different meats. My sister got a pork chop that had like cauliflower puree, which I'm like, that sounds cool. What I like about this place was that it was basically like you could take any of the dishes that they were creating there and bust them down to like the easy meat and potatoes variant of it. So it wasn't like they were putting, like I always use this as an example, so I've used it before. Like, mango cilantro chutney on top of your and just, dude, I want a pork chop. Like, I don't care about.
Yeah.
You're putting some kind of we've rubbed linseed strawberry reductions, and then we marinated it in coffee for 4 days. It's just like, you fucking too many tastes, man. I want to taste the meat. And then we also split this thing that was like Brussels sprouts that had like roasted Brussels sprouts that had like. What are the pistachios and feta in with them? Weird. And it was really good. And we split this like homemade chocolate cake with cream cheese ice cream for the. It's fucking great. Fucking great. So that happened.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and then I went out and got drunk and went home and went to sleep. And then the next day, one of our friends, I don't know if I should say her name on the show, but one of our friends messaged me and was like, hey, you should come out to this bar that we always go to. And I was like, I don't know. I'm pretty hungover. I think I'm just going to stay in and order Chinese food tonight. I went out last night. I had a big dinner, and she's like, no. You have to come down to this bar. And I was like, okay. So like that's the problem that you have to have when you're trying to throw. Spoiler alert, folks. It was like a party basically that she threw, kind of put together behind my back. So,
funny thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it.
Yep.
We did not know about it. Now, this friend is actually, this person that threw this party for you is friends with everybody.
Yeah.
I've never met her. Amanda's never met her.
What?
We've never met this person.
Neither of you have ever met her?
And so she had sent me a friend request on Facebook, and I don't know who she is, so I was like, I don't know who that is. I'm not accepting it.
Oh, weird.
And then, like, And then it turned out, I guess someone found out that she was trying to add us as friends to invite us to that. And I was like, why didn't she just message me directly and say, hey, this is what I'm doing?
Facebook is a mystery.
Yeah, it was. We were like, and then we thought about it, like, I don't know if we would have been able to go on that short notice anyways. Because we actually had already had things planned that night.
Yeah, it's. When I think about it, I think that I know why, and it's because she hangs out at this one bar that you guys don't really like to go to, right?
Well, because it's a little bit far away.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what it. And she used to live. It used to be she'd go to the Nomad all the. Well, this fucking Nomad. Everybody knows Nomad. She used to go to the Nomad all the time. But then she moved down south, and so
but we felt really bad. We were all like, we probably should have accepted her friend request.
Oh, that's fine. I wasn't sure. See, that's the weird thing is that, like, look, I'm 37, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was walking into.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: is that like this year I've been kind of bummed out recently. This year I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. In fact, I wasn't even going to do anything on my birthday, except that I had to do some like recording on Monday, which is when my sister and I usually go out to eat. And she's like, do you want to go out today for your birthday, or do you want to do it like on your birthday? And my brain was like, just tell her that we'll go out on my birthday. That way, at least you'll be doing something.
Yeah.
But other than that, I wasn't going to do anything. Like in years past, I used to throw like a bunch of different parties over the weekend.
I remember.
But last weekend, it was like there was all this other stuff going on. There was karaoke apocalypse for Chepo, and there's stuff everywhere.
A lot of stuff has happened. A lot of stuff that is not related to this website directly. Has been going on for like the last 3 weeks.
Yes,
and it's nonstop.
And I'm pissed because I want everything to have to do with this website. I'm just going to make our website into Facebook. I'm going to make a subsection so you can just access Facebook inside of Rage Select. That way, people never have to leave Facebook and Twitter. Oh my shit! What if I did? What if you do a thing? That'd be interesting. If you could just like go to Rage Select and like there's the video, and then right below it is like a huge plugin that has your Facebook feed and your Twitter feed, and you're logged into both of them, so you could just do everything. It's a pretty
That's
good idea.
Weird.
So in any case,
patent pending. Anybody listen to this?
Yeah. That's my idea. Don't you fucking steal it. I'll come to your house. I'll bring your fucking house down. I'm not going to bring your house down, but I will. So don't test me. So that was the thing, is that I kind of had an inkling that I had a fair inkling, right? And then so there was that, and then there was another person that I was talking to about maybe recording with on that same day, and I messaged him and I was like, hey man, it looks like I'm not going to need to record with you after all. I got it covered. Thanks for offering to help out. And he was like, no problem. I'll see you later. And I was like, okay, there's a clue. Like I'm no Benedict Cumberbatch, but there started to form a
picture,
an idea. Yeah. So I came, and I wasn't sure whether this was going to be like I wasn't sure whether it was like going to be a bunch of people there, or whether it was going to be like, because I think that our group actually has the clout to, if enough people had been involved, I think we actually have enough clout to, well, on a Friday night, probably not.
Yeah.
The Nomad. But maybe for like until like 7, right? If we'd started like at 5, right? So private party until 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I showed up, and I think literally there was just one other person there. But people trickled in, and everybody came out, and it was great. A bunch of people came out. I understand that, like you said, some people, because this is being organized not by me, right?
Yeah.
That there's some friend weirdness there. But this friend, she like bought a bunch of stuff, and it's funny because she was like, I was going to get a cake, but I've never actually seen you eat anything that has sugar in it. So she went to Jim's and got biscuits and gravy from Jim's, and then put candles in the top of the biscuits and
That's
gravy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the only problem was that, I don't know if you've ever done this before, like, I don't know if you can relate to this, but like, so I eat late in the day, right?
Yeah,
and then
bread soaks up.
Well, no, and then I go out to drink, and then I go get my Jim's, and then I come home, right?
Yeah.
So she hands me this crockery container that has like 12, it's like 2 full orders of biscuits and gravy from Jim's.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm like, great, yay. And so I get one and I eat one, and I'm like, great. And then everybody's standing around the table, and they're like, you got to eat all those. And I'm like, dude, I couldn't eat all of those even if I was hammered, right? They're talking about like 8 full-on big-ass biscuits with sausage gravy, right?
Like, if this is supposed to be my cake, everyone gets a piece.
Yeah, like I kept trying to get other people, and so unfortunately, a lot of our friends, I mean, like Allison and Jason were there, and they're both dieting right now, and a few of our other friends that were on diets. Cargill's on a diet right now. He's like, I would love to eat them, but I can't.
So that's looking tasty, but I'll just have to witness it from over here.
Right, and I was just like, God damn it, you motherfuckers! It's my birthday. Can't everybody just get?
Had I been there, I would have totally eaten one.
Cholesterol on, like, but that was nice. It was real nice, and I didn't expect it at all, and so. That was great. But I tell you what else. Last week, I feel like last week was so eventful because we recorded the podcast on Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Like, starting Thursday, just...
News.
Yeah, it just didn't stop. I mean, before we move on, I'm sorry. I don't mean to trivialize. Did you do anything last week that you want to talk to the people about?
No,
Did you rob a liquor store? I keep waiting for somebody.
I've been trying to mow my lawn for the last 3 weeks and haven't been able to, and then got a really mean note from one of my neighbors about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about the extent of my week.
Okay, well then let's talk about the trailers.
Considering the fact that I just said, "Oh, I'm 15," it's like yet I have real world adult problems, I guess.
Actually, having your neighbors complain about not mowing your lawn is kind of a 15-year-old problem. Actually,
okay.
I mean, my neighbors used to complain when I was 20 and I lived in a house with 3 other like crazy people. And we never mowed our lawn.
It was just one of those things where it's like everyone's like, "All right, this Saturday I'm going to mow my lawn."
Yeah.
Wake up Saturday morning. It's raining.
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Next Saturday, I'm going to mow my lawn. Next Saturday, it's raining.
It's been raining and doing weird shit here in Texas.
Yes.
Like I was at that karaoke apocalypse down at the event that they had for Chepo down at the Highball, right?
Yeah.
And so we're outside, and this is on Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. We're outside. Jason and I are outside, and we're smoking. We're talking to people, blah, 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 hanging out there. And so the drip, like some sprinkles drops come down. And then like this wind, just because they're doing all this construction there, this wind just whips through, and like a pound of like broken glass and dirt just went directly into my eyeballs. But I spent like the next like 12 minutes just rubbing my eyes trying to get it out. So it's like, oh shit, okay, that's gross. Let's go inside. And it's like, all right, so we go inside, and within about a minute of going inside, it's just like now it is pouring sideways sheets of rain, and then like 30 seconds after that, it's hailing as well. And everybody's going outside, and they got their phones out. And at first I was just like, why are you people recording? It's just, I mean, it's like, I know it's kind of extreme, right? But like, it's just fucking weather, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go on YouTube and see weather. And then like 15 minutes after that, done.
Yeah.
Stop. Gone.
Yeah.
Didn't rain again the entire rest of the night. Like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, Texas, what is your fucking problem?
Yeah,
man?
so it's like because I work late, so I can't mow during the weekdays because gets dark,
right?
And it's like I'm not going to mow at night.
Just put a headline. I'll loan you one of these lamps. If you want to take it
I
out.
know that's cool. So it's like I actually got off of work early yesterday, and it just happenstance. I was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to mow my lawn, and then I came home to a note from my neighbor, and I was like, all right, well, I'll mow as much as I can right now.
Right.
Mowed as much as I could, except for like one section. So it like literally, my lawn has a mohawk.
Is it shaped like a dick? Did
No.
you leave a penis shape left in your yard? Come
no.
on, man, that would be funny.
I wanted to leave FU in my lawn, but I ended up not doing that.
Just mow out like my neighbor has no dick or something like that at your front lawn.
No, I didn't get a chance to do that, but it was just, fucking mowing's hard. Mowing is hard.
Dude, I a long time ago was like, nope, don't care, don't want. And there's no good reason to have a lawn, or at least not. Okay, I can understand having a backyard.
If you're single, there's no good reason to have a lawn. If you have kids,
okay, I'm going to say this right now. I think that having a backyard is fine, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, even when I guess I'm not a good example because our front lawn was like a fucking 45-degree incline. But like, I mean, if you have kids, they can play in the backyard, right? What the fuck good is a front lawn? I mean, why even bother? Why not just have more house and less grass that has to get mowed?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know. We need to move on.
We do need to move on. So, because we got a ton.
This is boring conversation.
All of the movie trailers happen.
All of them.
All of them happen. So, where should we start? Where do you want to start?
We should probably start with the first one, the one that broke the internet.
The Kim Kardashian trailer.
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, man.
That was the beginning of it.
Yeah, I know. That was it.
Like Star Wars happened, and then everyone went, "Oh shit, we need to get people talking about our trailer."
Yeah. You know that I had to hide one of my Facebook friends. Not an old friend, but somebody that I actually know kind of from doing this and from that I met when we had stuff with like a fan from the Spill days, right? Because he posted a news story, and I'm not going to say what it is, but he posted a news story that was like just it's one of those casting news stories, but the headline was such that I was like, I didn't want to fucking know that. Like, and then I knew it. And it had to do with this particular trailer. But yeah, there was a new Star Wars trailer, and I guess here's the question. How did you feel about this new Star Wars trailer?
I thought it looked good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything from it either. I was just like, it looks good. I like it. It's not bad.
I think that it just...
I'm excited.
You know, I was talking with Cargill and Jason at the bar about that, and I... Like, it's fine. It's good. There's nothing, wrong with it. Like, the opening shot where you've got this giant... I mean, if you haven't watched a trailer, just go fucking watch a trailer. But this opening shot with the fucking Star Destroyer, like, just sitting in the sand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you would just abandon your Star Destroyer and then just walk away.
Maybe it crashed.
Maybe
that gets explained
but
in the movie.
There's a lot of shit in there, all right? Like,
yeah.
But it just didn't... Like, I think that... this is what I said about it, right? It's a great trailer. It's fine. I'm really looking for more narrative teasing.
Okay.
Like I mean, it's a good trailer. It's full of interesting iconography. It's got some interesting, the voiceover and stuff is all fine. But I still don't have much of an idea about what's going on, even in the vaguest way humanly possible.
So I actually think I understand why the trailers are done this way. The first trailer that we saw was just done to go, hey, look, it's Star Wars.
Right.
Trust us, we're not going to fuck it up. Like, literally, that's all it was. Like, it wasn't, we're not going to show you anything. We're just going to show you that this is Star Wars.
Yeah.
This trailer is, hey, fanboys, here's all your we're playing to you right now. I think that probably the next trailer is going to be more of the, okay, here's what the movie's about.
I don't know. I also was a little... Okay, I was a little bit miffed that their end cap thing for this trailer was the Han Solo thing because okay, look, I am the thing from the new Star Wars movies that I am the least excited for is the fact that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia are back, right? Like, I'm much more interested in some new shit, right? Like, I mean, and if with J.J. Abrams. Like, my least favorite thing, I don't hate it or anything, but my least favorite thing about the new Star Trek movies was the fact that they felt the need to drag fucking Leonard Nimoy back in to be old Spock. And it's like, just let it be a thing. Like, I don't need the nostalgia bumps of like, oh my God, it's fucking Han Solo.
But you don't need it, but there are a lot of people who want it.
Well, but then they can just watch the...
And the thing is, and again, my point is that this trailer was for those people.
Yeah.
For those people that want that the old stuff. They want to make sure that the old stuff that they love is being represented in this movie.
I guess maybe.
And so it was. They were playing to that audience. They were like, "Hey, fanboys, here's the stuff that's going to make you excited."
Yeah.
And they know that that's the people who this trailer was for.
Yeah, I mean, because I think you hit the nail right on the head because I've seen so much, like the fact that it's like a Star Destroyer and it looks like it's on Tatooine and you've got these TIE fighters that look like TIE fighters, you've got X-Wings that look like X-Wings, and you've got stormtroopers that look a little bit different but kind of like stormtroopers. You got some Jedi shit going on, and it's like I've seen all that. Like, I was more interested in the little roly robot dude, right?
Which totally amazing that thing's a practical effect.
Oh,
there is no CGI on that.
Yeah, I read that.
They actually showed it on stage. Like, they actually had it on stage rolling around at the Star Wars Celebration. Which that's another thing to bring up.
Right.
This trailer was shown at the Star Wars Celebration, which is a essentially event for Star Wars nerds.
Big old Star Wars nerds. Yep.
Yeah, the biggest nerds of Star Wars ever.
Yep.
So, again, this is the trailer that's going to play to them.
Yeah.
This is specifically them going, we're giving you exactly what you want so that you come back. I still have a feeling that these characters like Han, Leia, and Luke, they're in this movie. very more as a passing of the torch thing.
I really hope that's true.
And that we're going to see less and less of them as the movie goes on, and we'll probably see little to none of them in the next 2 movies.
I really hope that's true. I really want that to be true. Now, one thing I will say is because we've been watching this as we've been talking about it.
Yeah, you have it on loop.
One thing that I will say about it that I do like, right, is in watching this, even just the little bits that we're seeing, you can like or dislike the way that J.J. Abrams makes movies, but in watching this, I tell you what I really like is just it's like episode 1, 2, and 3 were shot so flatly.
Yeah,
I love all the different camera angles and shit that we're seeing in. I mean, like this beginning part's just a wide shot, right? But like, the fucking X-wing zooming over the top of the camera, and just like everything seems like it's shot really dynamically, and I like that. I like the look of all of it. It's just at this point, I think and you know what? Before anybody goes into the comment section to get up on their high horse, I don't like it when a trailer tells me everything I need to know about a movie, right?
Yeah.
I don't like it when a trailer tells me pretty much nothing about a movie. I kind of like somewhere in between, right? I like enough information.
Tell me what the plot is without telling me the ending.
Well, or just, you know what? Maybe like get me interested, right?
Yeah.
Like give me enough information that I go like I'll tell you what. You know that movie that's out right now, that Ex Machina movie or whatever?
Yeah.
Like I am fascinated. I want to go see that movie real bad because I have no idea what the fuck it's about, because the trailer is enough to just go like, whoa,
funny thing, I've never seen that trailer with sound.
Which one?
The Ex Machina trailer.
Oh,
I've never seen it with sound.
It's because you mute it with your.
No, because it's I see it. It auto starts on my Facebook feed, and I'll stop and I'll just kind of look at it and forget to hit the thing to turn the sound on.
Yep.
And I'll just be like, huh.
Yep.
I kind of want to see that. Kind of about it. But yeah.
All right, well, we got so much to go over here. So we're going to have to move on from there. Yeah.
So that happened.
Yep, that happened. And then there was some grainy, a second commercial trailer came out that was grainy.
Yeah, well, it leaked, and I use air quotes here because I don't think it leaked.
You don't think it actually leaked?
I think it was purposefully leaked.
You think it was leaked?
Yeah, I think they purposefully did it to make people want to be, and then the next day they're like, well, since it's already gotten out online, here it is.
It's a new no, this is advertisement. So Superman versus Batman, Dong of Justice, as I like to call it. Actually, you're wearing a Superman t-shirt right now.
Yeah.
It's a Superman Returns t-shirt.
Yeah, I got it for free for going to see Superman Returns before it came out in theaters.
Hey, at least you got something from watching Superman Returns.
I like Superman Returns.
Hey-oh! No, I thought it was okay.
I thought it was okay for what it was. I didn't hate it.
I mean,
I don't like this trailer.
You don't like this trailer?
No.
You know what I find interesting is that I really didn't give a shit about this movie, and this trailer actually this is exactly what I was talking about before. This trailer is making me more interested in this movie than I was previously.
Oh well, here's the thing, and I dislike Zack Snyder.
Oh, so do I. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Well, it's like, because I realized something, and it was actually Man of Steel that made me realize it.
Okay.
Zack Snyder's movies, the first time I watched them, I'm okay with them. Like, I don't hate them, but I don't necessarily like them either.
Uh-huh.
And then every time I've watched the movie again, I like it less and less. Because I start seeing the flaws, and I start seeing the problems, and I start seeing certain things don't make sense, even in its own logistics. Man of Steel I was not happy with when I came out of the theater, and but I didn't like flat out hate it.
Yeah,
like I was like, that's a terrible Superman movie, but it's an okay movie, I guess. And then I bought it on Blu-ray and was like, oh no, this is a terrible movie too. And this trailer shows me nothing is improved. And also, it shows that they're heavily influenced by Dark Knight Returns, which, while is an amazingly influential book and rightfully so, I fucking hate that book. I hate that book with a fucking passion. Because I don't like Frank Miller's Batman. But that's just me.
See, here's a take. Check this out, right? When I watched it, I mean, I get the Dark Knight thing, right? He's in the armor. It looks exactly like the armor from.
He's also on a skyscraper holding a sniper rifle.
Okay.
At one point. They're directly lifting images from that book in this trailer.
But see, I guess the thing that kind of turned me around is I already knew about that, right? I already knew what it was called. It was originally titled Batman versus Superman, right? Or Superman versus Batman, or what? I don't know who gets stopped anymore. But
it's Batman versus Superman.
And then we saw the Comic-Con footage of him in the armor. We knew they were going to fight, right?
Yeah,
we knew
that was going to happen,
right? So,
and for some reason, Superman's at the gathering of juggalos.
I really like that image. No, but here's the thing. So when people say, like, Superman fighting Batman, right?
Yes.
Is not interesting for very long.
No.
That's a very short thing. Like, even in the comics, Batman has to, and there's no indication here that all the shit in Dark Knight in Dark Knight Returns is going to be in here, right?
I think it's more thematic than anything.
So that in that book, like, they had to soften up Superman directly after he got his ass kicked, and then Batman was only kind of able to go toe to toe with him for a couple of minutes, right? Before he had to enter the cheat codes into that fight, right? So one of the things that I really like when you're writing Superman is that people always they get on this. I'm so sick of hearing it over the years. It's like, well, Superman is invincible, so how are we supposed to write a plot? And it's like, well, because not every plot in every story in the entire world has to do with you're going to get killed, and that's having us on the edge of our seat, right?
Superman's an amazingly versatile character. I love the character of Superman. I think a lot of problem is that people get hung up on exactly what you're talking about.
Right?
Is that see right there in that little clip?
Was that a gun?
Yeah, he has a sniper.
I thought it was just like
the first time I saw it, I thought it was a.
Oh yeah, it's totally good
because you can see the scope.
Yeah, but what I like about this is there's a couple scenes at the beginning where they have the statue of him.
Yeah,
they got the people like the guards, like guys in like combat suits,
with Superman symbols on their arms.
So when I saw that, it hit Red Sun in my brain, and I'm like, that would be cool because. Okay, the only thing that to me would actually that this movie could do, and I'm giving them a lot of advance credit, right? I'm hoping I don't have the Star Wars hope anymore, but I've got hope that they can not fuck up this shit too hard, even though I know they're gonna. Is that Superman, Man of Steel, definitely showed us a Superman who didn't know what the fuck he was doing and was just getting into like he's unsteady in his place in the world, right? So because they changed the Ma and Pa Kent stuff to the fact where Pa Kent's like, you gotta fucking keep this shit a secret, and he's kind of trying to make his own way, and he's got his hologram Russell Crowe dad, right, telling him like, you gotta go be a symbol for the people. I like the idea that he becomes a symbol for the people, and he gets swept up into kind of the machinations of being a savior, and he is accepting like the praise for somebody, and then it's going to take somebody like Batman to come along and say, basically to fill both the Dark Knight Batman and some of the best aspects of like Lex Luthor out of Red Sun, of saying that like, well, no, you're not a savior. You're, if you want to help people, but like you're not this Messiah figure, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like that as the basis for them going after each other instead of just like, I mean, I like Batman Superman the animated one.
Yeah.
But it was kind of just like Superman's like, hey chum, how's it going? And Batman's like, fuck yourself. I don't like you. And then it's like, and then they kind of fight a little bit, and then it's fine. But as a way to set up a dynamic where the two of them are going at each other, I think that using the Superman is a tool of the system as the savior of the world after he beat Zod in Man of Steel, versus Batman is an underground vigilante who is naturally at odds with the system, quotey fingers, has the potential to be a better story than what geriatric Ronald Reagan sends Superman to go because Batman made a bunch of gang people into horse riding bat boys. Like, the fuck Frank Miller, come on.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
hey, you heard me. I fucking hate that book, mostly for its misinterpretation of the character of Superman.
Right.
But I also get the reason why it's a good book and why it's why people like it and why it's influential for its time and it deserves all the praise that it got. I do feel like it's a little overrated in that I think people praise it too much.
Yep.
But it's certainly deserving of a lot of the praise that it has gotten.
It's also I mean, for the thing most people don't understand when they read that book is that
it is a product of its time.
Yes, just like V for Vendetta and Watchmen and a lot of the other shit, like that comic was a direct response to comics, right?
Yeah. at the time, and also it has like years of continuity behind it, years of friendship and emotions through that friendship that actually explain that when they're fighting, it's not they're fighting because they disagree, it's they're fighting because they're friends and they don't agree kind of thing. It's not Batman's right and Superman's wrong and therefore Batman's wanting to fight him. It's that's the reason for that fight is like we're both disagreeing on how to go about doing the same thing,
right?
And it's come to a point where one of us has to stop the other,
right?
But we don't want to do it at the same time because we're friends.
Yep.
Whereas this movie has none of that.
I think though, but see, go back to the animated one, and I think that there's a good inroad for the way that modern Batman is portrayed and the way that this Superman is portrayed about them running into each other, and Batman isn't forthcoming with information, and Superman is, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm more interested now than I was before, is all I have
didn't
to say.
like this trailer.
Okay.
I've kind of, Snyder's shown me that he can't do anything worth other than the one trick that he has, which is to make everything dark and gritty and terrible and has no understanding of what makes the character Superman. So I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, well, will I go see it when it comes out? Yes, I will, because it's a fucking superhero movie, a comic book movie. Of course I'm going to go see it. Plus, I need a reason to be able to bitch about it if I go see it and I hate it. Also, I want to give it a chance to prove me wrong.
Yep. I'm just looking at who the writers for this thing are.
It's Goyer. Well, it's Goyer, and then it was rewritten by one of Ben Affleck's writer buddies.
Terrio, who worked on Argo and
yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, like, I'm not going to sit here and say to people, "Yeah, fuck that. I'm not going to go watch that movie." Obviously, we're all going to go fucking watch that movie at some point.
I'm still going to watch it. Again, when it comes to these movies, and there's another trailer that I'm sure we're going to talk about in a moment, and this may be a good segue, that I've said that the trailer looks terrible, or something about it didn't like. Or I didn't like the news that I was hearing about it. I'm still going to go to the movie and give it a chance,
right?
Because that's what I did with Superman, or Man of Steel, I should say.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like what I was seeing, and I was like, I'm going to go give the movie a chance. I watched it. I came out going, well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then I waited a little bit of time, watched it on DVD, and was like, that's not as good as I thought it was in theaters, but it still didn't love it, but and then I watched it again at a friend's house, and I was like, I'm really hating this movie more and more every time I watch it.
I think you know what, we got to keep moving.
But
we got to keep moving.
My point is that there's another trailer which we're about to talk about, which is the Fantastic Four.
Yes,
everything I've heard about this movie sounded fucking terrible.
There's been serious problems with the rewriting the script several times or reshoots or whatever. There was that
also one of the main characters, the actress that plays Sue Storm, was apparently only on set for 14 days and then wrapped up her filming.
Oh shit!
She literally was only there, filmed 14 days worth of material, and then never went back to the set again.
Okay. And
it was like, well, she's a major character. How does that work? I mean, I know she's the Invisible Woman, and they don't need her in every shot, but.
So they just call her on the cell phone and hook it up to a PA system, and they're like, "Okay, you guys are fighting in this scene. Give me some grunts." And she's like, "Ooh, ah, ooh, ah." They're like, "Great, that worked perfectly. All right, we're done."
Yeah, it's like, so I was like, I know she doesn't need to be there in every scene, but but at the same time, the first trailer that came out it looked like generic sci-fi movie. This movie actually kind of started to have elements that felt like the Fantastic Four.
I don't know if I'm qualified to even have an opinion about this movie.
Yeah,
because I didn't hate the last Fantastic Four movie. Not the Silver Surfer one, but the first one.
I get what you're saying.
I didn't hate that.
The one with Chris Evans.
I went in with zero expectation whatsoever.
Yeah,
and I came out going I don't know, seemed all right to me. Or the second one, of course, was fucking. Completely ridiculous. Now, okay, Ben Grimm's the thing in this movie. He doesn't have to wear pants at all. I
don't know.
I mean, no part during this trailer is he wearing any kind of pants.
I thought I saw. Oh yeah, you got a good point.
No pants.
Nope.
He doesn't even have. Wait a minute. Holy shit! I just noticed this, John. This is very important. Hold on. Check this out. I got to go back here. He's walking around.
Okay.
He's walking around. Hold on. I went back too far. Oh no, wait. Hold on.
No, you're good. It's about to come up. What's your?
Okay. That he has no butt crack.
No.
The thing has no butt crack whatsoever. How do his legs move? Your butt crack facilitates your legs moving forward and backwards. Like, it's not just for pooping. It's not just a funny joke that poop comes out of.
Yeah.
It makes your legs move.
He's made of rocks.
He's made of rocks. He just breaks the rocks off. The only thing about this, and it's funny because I feel like I'm absolutely reversed on these trailers about the way that everybody else is going to be.
Yeah.
I was like, the only thing that was a little bit like meh to me about this trailer, like I liked it a fair amount. They do know that there's more villains than just Doctor Doom, right? There's the Fantastic Four have fought people that are not Doctor Doom before, and not Galactus.
This is the problem. How much of that is actually? How many of those villains are actually tied up in the Fantastic Four license that Fox has the rights to, as opposed to just being Marvel villains that Marvel still owns the rights to.
Yeah.
So it's possible the only villains they have are
Galactus and
Doctor Doom.
Well, you know what? I think I don't know anything about the good Doctor of Doom from this trailer, but I kind of wish that they would go to kind of like a. Like, in the last one, he was like a businessman, right?
Yeah.
And then in this one,
I've heard the rumors.
He's like a hacker or something.
Blogger.
Okay. I kind of wish that they would make him like just some crazy rich guy not rich guy, but like he in the comic book, like he's the inheritor of the Doom fortune and the title of King of Latveria, right?
Yeah.
Like if they made him some kind of weird despot, I think that's a way more interesting arc for Doctor Doom than just like, where's a green cape? Has some metal on him. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
And this one didn't even look like he had metal armor. It looked like he had just like some like
kind of weird
LEDs and diodes
translucent
stuck to his
face thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, my thing is like this. I went to watch this trailer with absolutely no hope that this movie could be any good.
Right.
Like, I wanted to go see this movie originally because I was expecting it to be a train wreck, and that entertained me. Because here's the thing. I like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
Movie's a train wreck.
Yeah.
Never came out or whatever. I got a bootleg of it. Movie's a train wreck, and for the budget it had, it's actually pretty impressive. But for this, like watching this trailer, it made me go, okay, I'm a little bit more inclined to think it may not be a complete and total train wreck. I'm still not sold that it's going to be a good movie, but it actually is giving me hope.
It was definitely better than the first trailer.
Yes.
It was absolutely better than the first trailer. But oh my God, we're so late. All right, we're gonna have to zip through some of this news.
All right,
there's so much of it. So yes, Fantastic Four trailer, also awesome. All right, so we can talk about video games for a second.
Sure.
There was one other trailer.
Yeah.
This trailer for a video game.
What trailer?
Everybody was berserk bananas, losing their goddamn shit minds over it. Star Wars Battlefront. They've been teasing, and finally, a trailer came out for it, and
it was I mean, it says in-game engine, but it's very clear that it's
okay. Yeah,
it's a cinematic trailer using the in-game engine.
What I wanted to say okay, I'm not gonna. If I was mean, I would say there's no way the game looks like this.
Yeah.
And if you believe that, you've never played a video game before. But what I am going to say is that what I'm pretty sure has happened here is that EA gave a studio like Blur the Frostbite engine and their assets and said, make us a fucking badass trailer.
Yeah.
Because like when you look at this stuff, unless DICE is doing something for the first time they've never done before with like frame blending idle animation technology, like you can't like what I was trying to explain to, I think it was like Cargill or something when we were talking about this trailer, was that like you can't have this much character movement in an online game because just from a technical standpoint, you need to know what direction a person is facing and what gun they're holding and things like that, right? I mean, it's a gorgeous trailer.
Yeah, and apparently, I mean, the stuff I've been hearing about the game actually sounds interesting, and if it does everything that I've been hearing, it could be interesting. Mm-hmm. Though the only thing that really worries me to any degree is that that there's no story mode. It's just online only.
Player. Yep, I kind of saw that one coming.
Yeah, I kind of expected it.
Yeah,
but the fact that I get to drive an AT-AT.
You don't get to drive an AT-AT.
Oh, you don't? I thought you got to.
I think. Well, I don't know that for sure, but I think I saw a thing come up via Twitter that was like a comparison between Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 3. Yeah. And I think one of those things said that you can't actually drive an AT-AT. I could be totally wrong about that, but
okay. But then also I've heard things where some levels may have like alternate stuff where you can actually get in TIE fighters and X-wings and fly into space.
I also heard somebody say that that's not possible either.
Yeah, I heard that someone said that that's what it could do, and then like everyone who is like in the industry and is talking about all that information coming out is like, how is that possible? Also, why would that be possible? Like, what is the purpose of that?
Well, it's a much smaller. What is it? It's like 12 on 12. Okay, I don't know. It up. But
I mean, as far as the trailer goes, it's a beautiful trailer. If you want to play a Star Wars, that's a Star Wars game. I mean, I think that the DICE is gonna handle it really well.
It's just called Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah,
it's not called Battlefront 3. The only thing, and this is another thing that kind of goes back to the trailer that bugs me a little bit about this, is that motherfucker. The end of the trailer takes place in a few other places, right?
Yeah.
But Tatooine, Hoth, and Endor, I want you to put a moratorium on those locations because there's got to be other places.
There are. Apparently, one of the maps that's a pre-order map or is exclusive to Xbox first or something like
Battle
that.
Of Jakka.
Is like another desert planet that's not Tatooine.
Yeah.
But it's still a desert planet, but it's from the movie.
Okay.
Like it's from the new movie that's coming out.
Motherfuckers, they told me that this was supposed to take place like between...
Oh no! Like it's just that planet. Like it's not taking place during this movie. Like all the stuff is supposed to take place during the trilogy, the original trilogy.
Oh, okay.
But one of the maps that's coming out on like Xbox first or something, I don't remember the specifics of it, is going to be that a planet that also appears in the new movie.
Okay, fair enough. But no, I mean it looks fantastic. I mean I think that wait, what? Darth Vader headphones. Okay. I think that if it looks anything like that trailer looks, I will be incredibly surprised.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I'm sure that we're going to see at E3 gameplay.
Yeah.
Something, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
There's going to be something.
There's no way. There wouldn't.
And I'm pretty sure that, I mean, as good as it's going to look, like there's just some animation things that have to bend to the will of gameplay.
Yes.
To the point where it's like you can't, if you have something, like the more like cool looking a thing is, chances are I mean, this is my own personal thing, is that for video games, for as long as I can remember, the more cool looking a thing is, the higher the chance is that it's out of your hands almost entirely,
yes,
right?
I agree.
So the amount of just like kind of character movement and stuff that was going on in that trailer, also just if they can make it look even half as good as the fidelity on that trailer, it'll look great. I just don't think that when you're talking about a multiplayer-focused game that rendering that many shadows and trees and leaves and shit like that is not your highest priority.
Yeah, I agree.
But still looks good, and the first story that I had was there was a diary, dev diary. The first dev diary came out today where they've said this before, right? Like they let him in to see all the props. They gave him like the entire audio library of sounds and stuff, so it all sounds like that. They did this one thing where they were like, "Yes, look at the D44 blaster, and like look at all the details on it." And I'm like, "You're never gonna see that level of detail, right?
No.
Like you're pointing it at a thing, and then pew pew pew." Anyway,
also, the handle's covered by your hand,
right?
So.
Yep. So I don't know. I tell you what, after all this stuff, John, I think that what I'm really interested in is I'm cautiously looking forward to having a bunch of good Star Wars things again.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while.
It has.
There's been some good stuff. And Force Unleashed wasn't terrible, but it wasn't exactly...
It wasn't what we had hoped.
Yeah.
Force Unleashed 2 was even worse.
Force Unleashed 2 is great. I don't know what you're talking about. We played all the way through it on Rage Like.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to have to tear through some of these stories.
Let's tear through them, man.
All right. Speaking of things that I'm... Okay, no.
Apprehensive?
This is the opposite of Star Wars.
Okay.
I am starting to if you say a thing and it has the word Marvel in it now,
okay,
my brain is starting to just go like, nope, no, we're full of Marvel information. Thank you very much. I don't need any more. But that's a shame because Marvel and Telltale are getting together to make a game. John, you just open your mouth like 3 times and to say something.
So here's the thing.
Okay,
everyone likes Telltale.
Yes.
Everyone loves the Walking Dead games. Everyone loves the Game of Thrones game. Everyone loves the Borderland games.
Does everybody? I thought everybody liked season 1 of Game of Thrones. Like, I haven't even seen a person who's like, oh my god, I can't wait the new Game of Thrones. Or
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, here's the thing. Telltale is very hit and miss.
Yeah.
And by hit and miss, I mean they're mostly misses.
Okay.
Because they had 2 teams. I'm sure they've grown exponentially about that, considering they've got a Minecraft game, another season of The Walking Dead, now a bunch of Marvel properties, and then all sorts of other things. I'm worried that they're getting their plate too full. Yeah. Because originally they only had 2 teams. They had their A team and their B team. Mm. Their A team made really good games. Their B team made Jurassic Park.
Who made Back to the Future?
The first episode was the A team. The rest of it was the B team.
Okay. That game really fell down after about the first 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. So it's and like anytime they would get like a high profile property, even if the A team was working on something, they would drop what they're working on, move to the new high profile property, and then the B team would take over.
Okay.
And no offense to the people that work on their B team, they're talented people. They make video games. I certainly couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Their game sucked. And I get worried because of the fact that it feels like every other week, at least once a month, we get an announcement of some new property that Telltale is getting the rights to, and they're going to make games based on. And I'm like, you know what? There's going to be a point where everything they make sucks, and we're about to hit it.
It's. Okay, yeah, the exact same thing that I'm talking about with the Marvel universe happened to me with Telltale a while back, where I was just like, I can't keep up with this many things, right? Like, I like episodically, like I didn't even finish the first episode of Wolf Among Us. Like, I didn't even play all the way through it. Right? Yeah. The whole season.
I bought the season pass. Then my Xbox died.
Game of Thrones seemed interesting, but one of the problems, I mean, I feel like with Telltale, at least with the episodic thing, I feel like they have enough stuff right now that rather than doing episodic, they need to just finish things and put them out as games, right?
Yeah.
Like, originally, they're putting stuff out as episodic. It was an interesting model, whatever. But see, I get into this problem where I keep up with so many brand new games that when a game comes out, and maybe this is specific to me, maybe everybody else is fine with this, but when a game comes out, I want to buy that game, I want to beat that game, I want to be done with that game, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to play 2 hours of a game and then have to wait for 3 months for the next episode to come out. Or 2 months, or month. I don't want to have to wait for 4 days. I was liking Resident Evil Revelations 2, and they're putting one of those out every week, and I just, at some point, was like, I don't care anymore.
Well, I like episodic as a way to manage your time playing a game, but not as a way to manage when I get the game. And the reason why I'm saying that is, as an example, Remedy with the way they did Alan Wake, and apparently the way they're also doing Quantum Break. The chapters are cut up in a very episodic style. They're done like, okay, this is like you're watching an episode of a TV series,
right?
But you get the whole thing all at once. And you're allowed to. It helps with the pacing. I would be cool if Telltale were to go, here's the entire game, but we broke it up into episodes so that you can do it as an episodic thing.
Yeah, at your own leisure.
Yeah, at your own leisure.
Yeah, because
like, I'm okay with that.
I'm a binge watcher, motherfucker. I'm a binge watcher now. I've had a taste of the good life. Orange is the New Black all at the same time. All the Daredevil, all the time.
Daredevil in one sitting.
Yep. I don't even know why they even bother to make it different episodes anymore. I'm like, Netflix, just give me an option. Just be like, no. I don't need to watch. I don't need to skip over the title sequence every fucking time. Just ooze into the next episode. Just go to black, 2 seconds, beginning of next episode. No trailer, no. Blah, blah, blah.
So you're saying give you a 13-hour long stream movie of Fuller House?
Yes.
Okay.
I get no. See, the thing is that I've actually learned because of binge watching that I hate shows that have more than about a 3-second title sequence.
Okay.
Right? Like, you know who has a great title sequence? Breaking Bad. Just boom, boom, done, right? Better Call Saul was the same way. I just got finished watching this thing on Yahoo called
Spaced Out? Or is that the one with Joel from MST3K? Yeah.
It's outer space.
Yeah.
Something. Whatever it was. That thing. It was just like every so often. It was just like the title would come down and then the ship would fly past.
Well, it's like
great.
Lost.
Right.
Lost had the thing where just the word Lost went across the screen. Done.
Yeah. So when I'm binge watching, especially, and it really pisses me off because when Netflix, I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but when Netflix puts out a season like of Daredevil, I'm like, motherfuckers, you know we're all going to sit down and watch this show, and you've got like this 2.5 minute. It's a fine title sequence, but I don't want to watch it every time, right? I want the option to just go like, yeah, just take that off. In any case, I'm interested to see. Has there been any details yet about what the property, what they're doing? Is it going to be an Avengers? Is it going to be like a Agent Carter spinoff?
They just said they have the license to do games based on Marvel characters.
Okay.
And that they're going to do games based on Marvel characters.
The only thing that this really excites, the thing about this that really excites me is of all the things that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing, they have just plunged into the spike pit when it comes to fucking tie-in video games. They have so many movies.
Well, so much so that they stopped doing them.
Yeah, but fucking if they can do these, if they can do all the other shit that they're doing to tie stuff together, a TV show, a Netflix show, movies that all hook together, like I'm sure there's some comic shit that like ties into there. Captain America's hip hop album that wasn't not very well received. They can make some video games. There's never been a better franchise to make a video game out of than a movie with 5 people with different superpowers that have to defend New York City from alien invasion. Why is Disney Infinity 2.0 the closest thing I have to an Avengers game? Seriously. And Batman, you get on that shit too while you're at it. And fucking
all right.
Star Wars, I want a single-player narrative campaign that ties into the new Star Wars movie. You know, I know that licensed games are bad, but they don't have to be, right?
Yeah.
Like, we know why they're bad. I know why they're bad.
Yes.
Right? Like, you know why they're bad. If you find a development company and you give them 2 years and the script to the movie and enough assets up front, they will make you a game that will sell like fucking crazy. Speaking of which,
yes,
there's a trailer out for the new Mad Max game, which has been MIA, I think, since Jason saw it at E3 2 years ago.
Like, what was it? It was originally supposed to come out on all 4 consoles: the 360, PS3, PS4, and Xbox One.
Yeah,
and then about 6 months ago or 2-3 months ago, they were like, "Yeah, forget previous gen."
Oh yeah. They pulled one of those, but no, this shit came out. This is a hell of a trailer.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, if you haven't seen this, folks, I suggest you stop and watch it. First of all, it's 4 minutes long, and it ain't none of this rendered with.
It kind of reminds me of those Red Dead trailers that they used to do for the Rockstar used to where they would explain the world you're in and the kind of give you a weird kind of documentary style mechanics of it.
Mm-hmm. They did it for L.A. Noire. I
they did
a bunch
it too.
Of those obsessively, but yeah, I mean, this looks like it's an open, it's kind of okay. It's an open world. You got a lot of driving. There's stuff to get. It looks like Batman style combat, right?
Yeah,
like Arkham Asylum style, or what somebody sent us in thinking Assassin's Creed 1 style. If you please. I think that Batman did it better. That's why I call it Batman style.
That's why everyone calls it the Batman style.
That's why I don't call third-person cover-based shooters kill.switch style games.
Yeah, but then also it kind of like there's also this thing with tribes of bad guys that kind of remind me of Middle Earth Shadow Mordor a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that.
Which I don't think it has like that. I don't think it has anything comparable Nemesis system or anything like that. But it kind of like just an aesthetic though.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of well, Mad Max. This version of Mad Max does kind of look very orcish. But I tell you what, the thing I was talking about it before in Star Wars. The thing that really actually struck me about this trailer is that it was just like really between the colors and the graphics and everything. It was very dirty and gritty and dynamic.
Well, there was one part of the trailer that I swear it looked like the camera had a crack in it. Like the actual view, where you're viewing, like it had a crack going on at the bottom of the screen, and I was just like, that was an interesting choice.
Yeah,
and I was like, it's kind of cool because it kind of even looked like the camera you're watching it through, the lens you're watching it through, is broken.
I think that like if this trailer, the way they have this trailer set up, if they can minimize the HUD elements as much as possible and keep it looking like that. That would be great. Like if it was that the screen like cracks as you're taking damage and then it goes away when you're not, kind of recharging health thing. But yeah, driving, you can customize your car. You can drive around. It looks like there's going to be a whole like enemy convoys that you can, drive in front of and get
and mess with,
scavenge more materials from. And at one point, he picked up a handful of maggots from the inside of a corpse and ate them for some reason.
Oh, he's got to live.
Yeah, well,
maggots are good for protein or something.
There's plenty of sand. Just eat the sand. You can make sandwiches.
Yeah.
There's
a dog, apparently.
There's a dog. I saw a dog. Several. I'm not talking about you. There were several dogs. And it was a weird thing where it was like, it looks like there was also this whole gameplay element where he's driving, but you have some wasteland goon in the back of your car, like throwing grappling hooks and shooting guns at people and stuff. Like, I hope this game, I hope that it's made by Avalanche. I'm not really super familiar with Just Cause. I mean, I played Just Cause 2, but I've never been really big into the franchise. It looks really dynamic.
It does look really good.
It looks really interesting. I really can't wait to play it. And I hope that it does well so that we can get a new Interstate 76 game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it looks great.
Yep.
What else we got?
We also have, so this one, we didn't actually get to see anything of the game, but we got an announcement that Total War Warhammer. I can't believe they're actually calling it Total War: Warhammer. I know you guys have a brand to protect, but just call it Total Warhammer. That's the best, right? I mean...
Yeah, I guess.
The Total War series is going to Warhammer.
Yes.
Which is great, because that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
The only thing... Okay, so here's a couple of things, right? One, it is... let's clarify. It is Warhammer, not Warhammer 40K.
Correct.
It's old medieval Warhammer.
Yes, with magic and stuff.
Right, which I'm less interested in old Warhammer than I am in 40K. I like the 40K universe quite a bit. I like mechs and shit like that.
Yeah, so, I get it.
The other thing is, I haven't really been... Total War Attila came out, and I didn't even buy it or play it.
I'm going to be honest. I think I've maybe played one Total War game, and I don't even remember what it was.
So here's the question: I like a good RTS, right?
Yeah.
I've been playing some MOBAs recently, right? I like a fair amount of strategy, do some turn-based XCOM style.
Yeah.
I'm not super interested in the kind of big, slow, tactical, we're going to collapse your right flank with a pincer maneuver, and then you have to dilate time up because it takes 20 minutes to turn your army in this direction.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's going to be... I haven't played a Total War game in a long time, but that's always the impression that I got from them.
Okay.
And I'm not just super interested in that particular style of gameplay.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. That and hexes. I'm not super into those.
But do we know if that's how it's going to play? Like, if that's the type of...
Well, I don't know.
Because, there's no game footage in this trailer.
That's true. It's a completely cinematic trailer. It's a badass cinematic trailer.
Yeah, it's a really good cinematic trailer.
Smells like Blur to me, but then everything that looks good in the industry smells like Blur to me. But I don't know. I can't tell. We'll have to see, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be more at E3, but it's interesting, and I think it's a good fit for them. So.
Yeah, and if you're someone who likes Warhammer... just regular old Warhammer. I'm sure you got excited seeing this trailer.
Because you're like, everything is 40K! Why has everything got to be 40K? All right, well, the last trailer that we have to look at, we could talk about trailers for... we could talk about trailers for an hour now. There was a new trailer for Overlord, and I'm not going to go into it too much because it's pretty much just a recap of the first two Overlord games in the expansion.
Okay.
Except at the very end, there was a lightning flash, and it looks like there are at least 4... different new overlords.
Ooh.
We've got a kind of a skinny guy with a spear. We've got looks like a lady. We've got looks like a dwarf with a couple axes, and then kind of a taller Megatron-looking motherfucker. Nothing concrete. I'm sure by the time this podcast goes up, there's going to be like 6 more trailers because they just won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
But I think this is interesting. I never got into the Overlord series.
I thought the first game was interesting. Didn't play the second one.
Yep, but I'm interested. Bring back anything that's not something that we've already played a million times before.
Yeah.
And now, Microsoft is bringing back something that we've all played a million times.
Is it
before.
Battletoads?
Nope. Gears of War trilogy is coming to the Xbox One. Remaster 1, 2, and 3. Put them all in one disc.
I less care about that. I was actually hoping for something, I don't know, new.
I have to say that
I'm still expecting them to make an announcement of some kind of
for Battletoads.
Yeah, well, no, for Gears of War, like at E3, like them to be
a new one.
Yeah, like them to be like, by the way, we're releasing this trilogy. We got a new one coming out.
What is People Can Fly doing? What are they doing right now? I know you know them.
I know who they are. I don't know what they're doing right now.
Because that would be who would. Oh, they're called Epic Games Poland now.
Yeah, it's no longer at Epic because Microsoft bought the rights to Gears of War completely.
Okay.
Like from Epic, Epic is no longer involved with making the game.
Because Epic's making Fortnite now, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of their big thing.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, Microsoft gave the license. There's rumors that Microsoft gave the license and rights to one of their in-house studios.
Okay.
I just can't remember which one it is. I heard something about it the other day.
Will it really be a Gears game without the steady hand of Cliffy B?
The thing is Cliffy B said he was done with Gears of War with 3.
Right.
Like he said that even if if Epic made more games, he wouldn't be involved.
Fucking Cliffy B. Finish your story, Cliffy. In any case, I never really got into Gears of War when it came out because I didn't have a 360 at the time, and I played the third one.
They're good games.
And I played a little bit of the first one, but it's harder. It's like pretty hard. So I
played all 3 beginning to end. They're really good. I
like the idea of having an opportunity to go back and play all 3 of them. Having an excuse, right, to go pick up for $50, right?
Yeah.
Like all 3 of them, and that's a hell of a lot of storyline there. Segue not found. There was also a release date leak for Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
Hey!
Yep, November 6th. That's about all I'm going to say.
All right.
We talked about Call of Duty 3 last 2 times. I'm going to start killing some of these off with some March MPD numbers, and they were garbage. Steam is implementing a new thing that apparently was a thing that you could do, but they just hadn't turned it on for anything.
Okay.
Which was if you make a mod for Steam Workshop, you can sell it.
Yeah.
And they're turning that on for Skyrim.
Huh.
Which I find to be fascinating.
I thought that some games already had it turned on.
According to this story,
I thought I'd heard something about that.
Let's see. Valve sent a statement. More games will follow. Those Skyrim mods that were already available for free on the workshop will continue to be unless the charge. I'm not sure.
It could be the first. I could totally be wrong.
This is just I'm reading this story off of Game Informer. It's from the 23rd, and they said it starts. Valve is now allowing mod creators to profit off their work on Steam. I've never seen a mod that had a price tag on it.
Okay.
So, but what I find really, really fascinating about this actually is that it's a super interesting precedent because what it means is that you can make money off of Bethesda's game.
Yeah. But mind you have to put work into it.
Sure. But on the other hand, the person who's buying your mod has to own Skyrim. They have to have purchased Skyrim.
Yes.
Which I find to be really interesting because, last week we talked about the implications of this, there's a lot of studios out there that they just want to hold on to the IP that they have and they want to guard it forever and never let anybody get a piece of it. Right?
You're talking about the thing from last week with the
EFF
ESA
and the
versus
ESA, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is interesting because this means, obviously Valve didn't just do this without consulting Bethesda, right?
I'm sure Bethesda talked to them about it or whatever.
But I think this is really interesting because it means that you could technically, if we get a new Fallout announced and it has mod support for it or whatever, it's like you could have people that were kind of like aspiring game developers, right? That were able to make some profit off of doing great mod support for stuff. In all honesty, I'd be more than happy to pay an extra $20 for some older games out there. If companies would allow other people to go in and fix stuff. I wanted to play No One Lives Forever 2, right?
Yeah.
No One Lives Forever 2 is one of those games that was made for 4x3, and when you try to put it in 16:9, it stretches everything out.
Oh, yeah.
You have to hack the resolution. You have to go into an INI file and manually set the resolution. When you do that, it stretches everything out. The UI is messed up, and everybody looks real fat. So I would love it if game developers were able to say, if you want to go make a mod for our game to make it better and you want to charge somebody $10 for it, more power to you.
I mean, there are games on Steam that if you look at the comments on them, people are like, "Don't buy this game; it doesn't work," because the company that made it no longer supports it.
Right.
It's no longer releasing updates. So I would totally be cool if someone released a mod that says, "Hey, this game now works and if you pay like $4 for this mod, it'll work."
Yeah,
especially if I bought the game for like $2 on a Steam sale. It's like, oh, and it cost me another $4 to get it playable. Sure.
Yeah.
The
only thing I could see is there being a problem is because Steam is so the Wild West. I mean, I'm sure that. I mean, I guess Valve probably has some stuff in, like, you can't charge people $1,000 for your mod, right?
Yeah.
But like, I wonder if they'll get, because if I have a game and somebody has some enhancements for it that I want to use, but they want $35 on top of a $20 game, well, that's 10 years old or something. Like, okay.
Yeah, no, I could totally see that.
All right, we're gonna whip through the rest of these. Last week we talked about Guitar Hero Now. Grant and I talked about
Guitar Hero Live.
Live, yes, Guitar Hero Live. And apparently, even though Guitar Hero Live is not out yet, we're getting back into Guitar Hero versus Rock Band.
Yeah.
Because there was a story that came out this week that Rock Band 4 will be able to use your old instruments.
Well, they said they were going to try to do that. Like, from the beginning, they said they were trying to make sure it worked. And they said the only one they actually were worried about was Microsoft, because the difference between the PlayStation and the Microsoft controllers is that the proprietary Microsoft controller connector, like Wi-Fi or whatever, wireless connector, is proprietary to Microsoft. Like, you cannot create a dongle for it or whatever without buying a license from Microsoft.
Right.
And for Sony, they just created a dongle that you plug into the console and then it works. So the thing was, okay, how do we make those that were proprietary to the 360 work with an Xbox One when they're not designed to work together?
Indeed. I did. You weren't here last week.
I'm not. I am. But yeah.
You owned Rock Band.
Yes.
You were the biggest Rock Band fan that I know.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Rock Band.
I'm sure you saw the Guitar Hero Live announcement.
Yeah.
What do you think about Guitar Hero Live?
It's a thing. I'll probably like, I go back and forth on it. Like, at one point I'm like, it looks stupid, I'm not going to play that. And then other times like, but I really want a guitar rhythm game, I'm probably going to buy it.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of the buttons, about the new button style. Sort of, but then there's also that big streak in me of like, in the interview they did when they were talking about it in that article that I read, where they were just like, yeah, some people had a really hard time when you got to 4 buttons and above, and they just couldn't make their hands work. And I'm like, well, then those motherfuckers can play on easy, because I spent hours learning how to fucking move my hand up and down on that controller.
I played Green Grass and High Tides for hours on that shit, just so I could get an expert achievement, motherfuckers.
That's right. So, like, hey, why don't you just tell those whiny bitches to shut the fuck up and stop making controllers for 4-year-olds? All right?
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, there is that part of me. But at the same time, I'm like, but I'm really jonesing for a good rhythm game on current gen consoles. So
yeah,
I want it. And plus, I like the developer. They made DJ Hero. I really like the DJ Hero games. I
like DJ Hero 1. Not a big fan of DJ Hero 2.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm a fan of those games. So I'm like, okay, they at least know music. So I'm. I can sort of trust it. I'm a little iffy on the live action thing and the 3 button or the 2 rows of 3 buttons, but whatever. I'm willing to give it a try.
I want to make my own Rockstar, and if your game won't let me do that, I'm kind of inclined to tell them to go fuck themselves. But
I do like the Harmonix is going to more of a back to basics approach.
Yeah,
they're like, you know what? Let's go back to what started us off, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah. All right, and then we've got 3 more stories, and we're going to whip through them real fast. 1, 2K Australia is shutting down.
Yep.
This is the studio that made Borderlands the pre-sequel. I can't even say I'm surprised anymore, especially...
I don't know.
For a 2K
It sucks.
It does. Pour one out for...
They actually made a fun game, I felt.
2K Australia. Next, the Warcraft movie has been delayed by 3 months.
Well, it's all the CGI they have to do. So
actually, what's interesting is that contained within this story, because this is Universal, right? So it was supposed to come out March 11th of next year, and it's now June 10th of next year. But they also said that they're moving Pacific Rim 2 from April to August, the Mummy reboot from June 2016 to March 2017, and an untitled monster movie from April 2017 to March 2018. That's ridiculous. Okay, and finally, I like to save a little something special for last, John.
Ooh, I'm excited. What is it?
Colorado has created a bunch of arcade cabinets. And when you walk up to the arcade cabinets, they are there to warn the populace of Colorado about a brand new problem that they have, and that's getting high and driving around. So they have these arcade cabinets that when you walk up to them, they've got a message on them that's like...
Winners don't do drugs?
No, it actually says... what does it say here? If I could say... let's see. When you approach the cabinet, you see this message. Colorado Department of Transportation reminds you, playing games while high is legal, driving is not. But then apparently once you've read their message, you can play like Donkey Kong or something for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to think that this not so much as a public service announcement as it is like a trap for stoners. Like if they put them in like fast food restaurants, then you can just
so that they play it and get through their high, and then when they actually go to their car, they're totally sober.
Exactly.
Because they've been losing time playing video games.
Right, they're just like, oh, dude, what is that? Oh, Donkey Kong. Man, I used to play this. I love this game. But no, it's, I mean, you know, what? I mean, like, what? I mean, maybe they just had a bunch of decommissioned arcade machines laying around.
Yeah,
but
it's
I'm like,
possible.
Colorado, man, like, slap some Galaga art on the side of that shit and sell it to collectors. You could get an extra $600, $700 a pop, right, or something.
Shit,
for
man,
them.
do what was it? Some Swedish airport or whatever, where they jerry rigged an arcade machine, and then basically the bottom half is clear, so you can see the coins as you put them in or whatever.
Okay.
And then it actually says, by the way, this is all going to the Red Cross or the for this fund. Like it's all going to charity.
Cool.
So it's like, hey, play video games for charity while you wait for your plane.
Rad.
So it's you just put a coin in, you play Pac-Man or Donkey Kong or whatever, and then you get done and you walk off, and it's like, oh, I also gave money to a charity.
I miss arcades. I kind of do.
Yeah.
The weird, funky arcades.
We have one or two here in town.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be that I could drive 5 minutes from my house and find an arcade, but now it's like there's like one, right, or two in Austin. And
I don't remember. Is Arcade UFO still around?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Anyway, we're going to take a break because oh my God, we're so fucking far over time. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer half the normal questions. I'm cutting our questions in half because there was so much to talk about this week. So stay tuned, and we will be back momentarily. All right, John, we're back. We're back.
We are.
We are back.
Yes.
I think. I hope we're back. Anyway, mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Mail@rageselect.com is the address to send your questions into. And now is the time of the show where we answer the question. I feel like I'm channeling Perd Hapley from Parks and Recreation there. But our first question, and we're gonna answer. I brought up 5 questions because we're already way over time, and we've got a bunch of other shit going on this week anyway. So, our first question comes in from Tony, and Tony says, "Dear Jeff and John, how much responsibility does a media creator have to the established fans of their work? We are all well aware of George Lucas and the complaints over his fervent desire to keep the original theatrical cuts unseen, but is there an argument to be made that he had a responsibility to bend to the desires of his fans and release them? One common complaint I've heard about the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films is that his focus was creating films for non-Star Trek fans like himself and abandoned the story and character development beloved in the originals in favor of making a mainstream popcorn action film to gain a larger audience. I don't think anyone is against the idea of gaining a new audience, but does that require devaluing the established audience and what made the product appeal to them initially? Sincerely, Tony."
This, when it comes to being a creator of any media, whether it be movies, TV shows, podcasts, videos on YouTube, whatever, comic books, whatever, this is the fine line that you always have to walk.
Yep.
Which is, do you change it up to make things interesting enough that it fits your vision, even though it may not be what people think they want?
Right.
Or do you keep doing the same old shtick in hopes that, because you don't want to upset them?
Well, I think it's funny because this actually smacks. I got to thinking a lot last week about the whole EFF versus ESA thing, right? So I think that in a lot of times when this question is asked, it's asked as a binary thing.
Yes.
Do content creators owe their fans anything, or should they be free to do whatever the fuck it is that they want to? I think that in the reasonable world that we do not live in, the answer is somewhere in the middle of it.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I'm saying is that there is no yes. They made that original, like George Lucas made the original trilogy, and I know he wanted to make changes, but that original trilogy should be seen by everyone still.
Sure.
And then but at the same time, this is his vision. That's what he wants. He is the guy who made it. It's his to do what he wants.
I mean, I think that the way that I especially in the Star Wars argument, what I've always thought of in my mind is that yes, George Lucas had a thing that he wanted to do and he did it. Is he free to do whatever the fuck he wants to with Star Wars? At a certain point, I kind of go no, because the thing is that Star Wars is like, yes, he made his vision and he technically owns copyrights and all that bullshit, whatever, but people also gave him a lot of money for that vision, right?
Yeah.
And I almost feel it's one of those things where this is why it got me thinking about the ESA versus EFF thing, is that I think that a lot of times, I mean, we get into this situation where we say that like content creators are all, and that they that they have no responsibility to people and blah 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 blah. On the other hand, you did pay for something, right? Like,
it's
you gave somebody money for something. There should be some. There should be some consideration to people. It's funny when you talk about the Star Trek thing. It's like I know a lot of people who were claim to be big Star Trek fans who were pissed off at the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. I wasn't, because I mean I feel like
I liked him.
He gave the that he kind of came out there up front was like parallel universe, bitch. Like this shit was on the show, right?
Yeah.
This is a whole different thing. You got a whole different thing.
It's not the first time they've technically done that, though. Usually they go back to the normal universe and just say the parallel universe exists on its own,
right?
And never see it again.
But I mean, like what Tony here says, it's the part that kind of gets weird to me is where he says, "Does that require devaluing the established audience and what made the product appeal to them initially?" Sometimes I feel like the answer to that is yes. I mean, if you have a real niche property, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess here's the question: is like, if you had a Star Trek reboot and that reboot had been modeled after the original television show, because you could sit here and make an argument, that like Wrath of Khan is an action movie.
Yes.
It's not
a Star Trek movie.
Not ponderous, but it's not slow, analytical. Well, that made me think a lot about blah, 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 blah. Science fiction, right?
Yeah.
It's a revenge story, right?
Yes.
Like, it's Moby Dick meets spaceships. It's a revenge story. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, is a comedy. I mean, it's got...
And that's one of the reasons I like Star Trek, is because it can be so many different things.
Right. Star Trek 6, and you guys know why I'm not talking about the odd number one. The Undiscovered Country is kind of a political thriller almost. It's like it's a mystery / political thriller, and none of, I mean, like I would say...
We're not going to talk about the religious experience?
Star Trek 5?
Yeah. What's God need with Starship?
Yeah, I love that.
It's my favorite line out of all Star Trek movies.
Fucking Shatner. But, like... Those movies already were divergent from the TV show. It's just they weren't as divergent.
Correct.
I mean, Star Trek First Contact does not look even remotely like Next Generation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Star Trek, we'll talk about some of the odd number ones. Star Trek Insurrection is an action movie. I mean, a lot of them are action movies, right?
Yeah.
That don't really have as much to do with the TV show. And I think that a lot of times for that particular comparison, it comes down to the fact that you've got a 2-hour movie.
Yes.
You've got 10 seasons of Star Trek The Next Generation where you can have a whole episode about Worf doesn't like his kid, right?
Yeah.
Or Deanna Troy's mom's kind of a bitch, right? Like, so in an action movie or in a movie like that, like the way that you can go look up the way that you do rising action and the thing where it's like on page 99, you have to have the plot turn for the second, the end of the second hour, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. But I honestly feel like at the end of the day, I think that content creators should definitely keep their audience in mind. But when it comes to like Star Trek, as a fan of Star Trek, I didn't have any problems with the first J.J. Abrams movie. The second one, I liked a lot when I first saw it. In retrospect, I kind of liked it less and less.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think that like they really did kind of make a mistake leaning on the whole. I mean,
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Hewing so close to like that. I don't know what Abrams was thinking about. Like, I'm going to make this movie that is so close in plot to the most beloved piece of Star Trek fiction of all time, right?
Yes.
Like, non-Star Trek fans have seen Wrath of Khan because it's just a damn fine movie.
Yeah. No, and it's also one of those things. I will say, I always thought it was funny that after I watched the first Star Trek, J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, I went, man, this guy would make a really good Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And then because essentially that's what he did is he turned Star Trek into Star Wars.
Yep.
He brought Star Wars elements to Trek.
Yep.
Which I think meshed really well.
For all the weirdo shit that he does, the Red Letter Media guy with the voice and got people in his basement, right? He did a really interesting thing about the Star Trek movie, about the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, where he's basically just like, this is like not like Star Trek, but it's an enjoyable movie all on its own.
Yes.
And a lot of times for that, like, I feel that sometimes the pain that you feel with a lot of people when it comes to this issue is that people have an expectation of what they want to see out of a thing before they go to see it.
Yes.
And I can tell you right now that there's no amount of consternation or no end to the consternation in my head, and the amount that I've had to go to like huge lengths to try not to let that expectation drag me down. Like, I think we can't go through a podcast. I think a perfect example of that is Bloodborne.
Okay.
Bloodborne is not a Souls game.
No.
And if you compare it to the Souls games, if you were a big fan of the Souls games and you compare Bloodborne directly to it, you're going to miss a lot of the shit from the Souls games, right? It's not as versatile of a game. It's more action. It's less RPG than
There's
Dark
less
Souls.
items.
There's all this stuff that's been changed in different ways.
But it's totally a good game.
Right, exactly. It's just like Star Wars. It's just like Star Trek. Like, it's still a good Star Trek motion picture. In fact, I firmly admit that the problems that I have with like some of Nolan's Batman, and even the problems that I have with Zack Snyder's Superman, because I think I know people who were just like, nah, Superman was fine, is because I almost have to like recuse myself from having an opinion about those things, because I go, I know that this is probably just a fine movie all on its own, and the problems that I have with Man of Steel are the baggage that I am dragging into the movie about Superman. And when you get into that, which is part of this question, if you have to take into consideration everything that fans want and then everything that non-fans want and try to come down somewhere in the middle, that's fucking hard as hell.
It is. There's a very fine. That's what I was actually getting at. There's a very fine line that you have to walk to please everyone.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
Yeah.
Even if you were to ride that line perfectly and you found the exact balance of what the old movie was and what the new movie was, and everyone was happy with everything, you're still going to piss people off.
Yep.
There's no way. There's still going to be people who are like, well, I still like the original, or what. Now, my personal opinion, going back to the George Lucas thing.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with him making changes to the movie. I may not agree with those changes.
Sure.
But I'm perfectly fine with him making those.
Yeah.
However, I do feel that the original versions of those movies should still be made available for me to watch. Whether it be an extra feature on the Blu-ray or DVD that says, hey, here's the special edition, the final version, the director's cut. This is the ultimate director. I mean, perfect example, Blade Runner. There's fucking 5 versions of that goddamn movie.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you go buy the Blu-ray or whatever version of it, you get all 5 versions. And you can choose which one to watch.
Yeah.
Like, and that's all I'm asking
about
for.
This, that my dog is coming in to comfort you.
Yes, but that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's like for me, that's my personal opinion on it.
Sure.
There is also, I feel, a very valid argument. Maybe I don't agree with it, but there is a valid argument that it's a creator's vision.
Yep.
They have the rights of, like, this is what the final version should have been all along, but for whatever reason I couldn't release it as that, but now I can. So this is the only version you're going to get because this is what I originally intended it to be. There is something to say that people can do that. That's totally, you're allowed to do that. That's, as a creator, that is your thing to do that with. But as a fan, I fall in the other argument. It's like, hey, you're still allowed to do that, but I need the original version because that's the one I fell in love with.
Right. No, I think the answer to this question comes down very simply to just like, should creators listen to their fans? Yes. When it's reasonable. You don't, I mean...
Should fans dictate every single decision you do? No.
No, right. Like, when it comes down to the George Lucas thing, it is not unreasonable to say, yo, you want to dick with this all you want? Fine. But give me, like, we've had, what, 3, 4, if you count digital. We've gone through DVD, Blu-ray, and now on to mostly
HD
digital.
DVD.
HD. I don't count HD. Nobody counts HD DVD, John. Like, if I would have no problem with you releasing whatever kind of bullshit you want to, but there was like, there was a story a while back that I swear to God I read where he was like, oh no, we destroyed the original footage a long time ago. And it was just like, why would you do that? Why would you like, no, yeah, we just threw it in a garbage can and set the garbage can on fire. Well, because fuck you, that's why. And it was like,
I kind of feel like that he said that because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah, the same reason that he did that interview with the Han Shot First shirt on or whatever. It's just like, yeah.
I think he likes to poke at his fans a little bit.
Yeah, I think that just as an archival, just as a. I think that it's a reasonable request to make of George Lucas that he fucking release the originals so that those of us that saw those originals can watch the originals, right?
Yeah.
And that you don't have to download some bootleg that some guy...
Well, and also, not to mention, there's like 4 different versions of the movie. Like there's the originals, then there's the special editions, then there's the other special editions, and then there's the Blu-ray release, because like he made edits every time he released that movie again on different media formats.
I think I've only seen the special edition because after that,
because he added fucking Hayden Christensen into the goddamn movies on the DVDs.
Oh, I might have seen those. I at a certain point, it was funny. I've talked about this before, but at a certain point, it's like all my friends were like, I can't believe, or no, he's like, oh, fuck George Lucas. I just want the original cuts. And those people go out and buy the Blu-ray box set. I'm just like, why are you doing that? Wait for...
I bought the first DVD box set. I have not. And when that one had like the Hayden Christensen in it and Christian, whatever the fuck his name is, in the end credit thing. And I was just like, well, I'm not buying another one of these until there's an extra feature that says original unaltered theatrical release.
Did they put Ewan McGregor in instead of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No.
Well, why does Darth Vader's Force Ghost get to be a teenager and Obi-Wan's Force Ghost has to be an old man?
Because the idea is that Vader actually died as a young man, or Anakin Skywalker died as a young man, and Vader was born.
Shut up, George. That's horseshit right there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, our next question comes in from our friend VJ, who says, hello, priests of the dong. This is VJ. My question this week concerns loot. On one end of the spectrum, there is Diablo 3, where Loot 2.0 made legendary items as common as white items. On the other hand, there's Borderlands 2, where legendary items have tiny drop rates, in addition to being locked away behind raid bosses which require 4-player co-op in New Game plus. In both cases, the games failed to capture my attention beyond one playthrough of the campaign. I've grown to despise randomized loot with randomized stats. It's like opening tins of your favorite cookies with a 99.99% chance of finding sewing equipment inside. I prefer a mixture of fixed and probabilistic drops, where the best equipment are attainable in a single playthrough if you put some time into it, like the Final Fantasy series. So tell us, what is your favorite loot system, and which game has mastered it? Thanks for answering my question, and rage on, VJ.
You know, I can't really think of, like, I mean, you asked me about, like, what games have awesome loot that you just, like, love playing, and the only ones I can think of are Diablo and Borderlands.
You know, I've kind of gotten a little salty about those games because it's obvious that they're using, like, fucking Skinner box stuff.
Yeah.
They know how long they need to wait to pay you out, you know, some decent loot. And in a lot of cases, like with Diablo, I mean, you know, at a certain point in Diablo 3, especially before the Loot 2.0 system, it was just like, wow, you've just giving me pages and pages of garbage that is no good whatsoever.
Yes.
I mean, not to be stereotypical, Jeff, but Dark Souls has a pretty good loot system where there's a lot of different stuff, and then every piece of loot, or a lot of the loot, I mean, not all of it, but because they've all got those descriptions on them, they tie back into the story world. I think that I remember...
There's that medallion everyone loves.
Which one?
In Dark Souls.
The pendant?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? The troll. There's a new one in Bloodborne, right?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
I seem to remember Darksiders 2 had a Diablo-style loot system.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I liked... You know what I like better than a loot system is a good crafting system.
Yes, I will agree with that as well.
Yeah, especially... Like, I think I said this when original Borderlands came out. Like, I don't know why Borderlands has never tried to implement a crafting system where it's like you can take those guns and then break them down into, like Diablo has, right?
Yeah.
Where you can break the shit loot down and maybe not, like I like the way that Diablo 3 does that crafting part because that then gives you two different ways to go about it. Like you can kill stuff looking for drops, or you could take the shitty drops and instead of selling them for no money, right? You can break them down and then you can basically roll the dice on another
what you
thing.
get,
right?
Yeah. And you could get a component that could go towards making something that's really amazing.
In fact, Vijay, I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit about Diablo 3's loot system because
I wasn't saying Diablo 3. I was saying Diablo as a whole.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just thinking of did you ever play Reaper of Souls?
I did not. I did not actually get the chance to play Reaper of Souls
because then they added in another person where you could take the stuff that you would use for like the common, like the early components that you would use for creating like better stuff.
Okay.
That you had just like by the end of the game, you just had a shit ton of it just laying around, and you could actually go in and you could pick on specific loot. You could pick like a certain thing and then roll the dice for like a certain trait, right? Like say it was like a sorcerer thing that was like plus 60 power to fireball or whatever, and you could like pick that and then you pay it a certain amount and you could basically just roll the dice for another thing, and it would give you a list of like 12 different things of you're going to get one of these. And it was great because it means that you could take, plus that same person, the Artificer, I believe was the name of that character.
Okay.
That same person would also let you take your weapon and you could pay them to reskin it for like any other weapon. So at the end of the game, when you had your armor that you wanted, you had like 6 mismatched pieces of armor that were the build that you wanted, you could take them over to the Artificer and you could kit them out to look the way that you wanted to, color and style. Any armor that you had picked up or previously given to her or something like that, you could make it look that style. And it was great because it meant by the end of the game...
you had a character who looked cool and,
right.
and had the stats you wanted.
Right, and that you could customize exactly what kind of thing you want. Now, I never went back to see if they fixed the balancing on the what was the new character that they put in Reaper of Souls? It's like a Templar or something like that, like a big shield or whatever. God, that character was powerful. Just fucking breezed through the game, no problem whatsoever. Like just all of this regen and but yeah, I prefer a crafting system over a loot system or anything that lets you like in Bloodborne where they have slots that you could put various effects into your weapons.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like I said, I like that as well. I mean, I just think when I immediately think of loot systems, the only two franchises, and I say franchise because I'm not talking about any one specific game, is Diablo and Borderlands. I really can't think of any other franchises that make me go, when I hear their name, that I go, ooh, loot.
I'm trying to consider what I think about the Skyrim loot system, but that I just learned how to break that. I didn't actually really enjoy that. I just learned how to make it my bitch. I tell you what, back to Darksiders 2, I really like the part of Darksiders 2 where you get those weapons that you feed other weapons to your weapons.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I got to put weapons in weapons, and then it makes those weapons stronger. Yeah. On the other hand, like, Destiny couldn't really... It's just kind of meh.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Destiny. It's too much MMO-esque for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of MMOs where... a lot of times, though, when you do that, it's just like everybody just ends up using the exact same thing. I tell you what, in playing, it's not really entirely a loot system, but I've been playing Smite recently.
Yeah.
And they have this whole system where it's like, and Dota did this, and I see, I've never played League of Legends, so I don't know. And actually, League of Legends is bigger than all the rest of these, right? Where you get gold, right, when you're playing the game, and you use that to buy items. But the way that you'll get an item will be like, this item is this piece, and then this template that then turns it into that
Correct,
item.
yeah.
So it's like the first thing you buy gives you a little boost to health, and the second thing you buy gives you a little boost to damage, and then you buy the third thing, and then that turns it into this other thing that has a bunch more powers. And in Smite, you can actually create your own... You can create your own items, essentially, which I think is kind of interesting. But
yeah.
All right, our next one comes in from Jennifer, who says, "Greetings, scholar of the first Merkin. I come before you with a quick and simple question. What the fuck is up with everybody's obsession with talent? Well, I do get that talent is a thing. It's hard work, devotion, patience, and endless frustration that not only gets one good, but is hideously oversighted. It reeks of self-defeat and circular logic. Why do people seem more content with not being good at something instead of actually getting good at it? I.e., I'm not good, so I won't start, or it's too late to get good. Thanks for reading. May the Merkin Fields have a bountiful harvest and get Jason's toupee company going." Jennifer, it's Murphy's Merkins.
No.
Yep. Have you run into this before?
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay.
I'm completely confused.
Okay.
What do you mean by talent? I mean, other than just raw talent or whatever.
Right. So you got talent, you got skill, right?
Yeah.
Talent is something that you're intrinsically good at.
Like, are we talking about like in real life, or are we talking about? Okay.
Yes.
I was like, are we talking about something that's going on in a game? or
No.
I need to know, Jeff.
You really weren't. You're just like, okay, Jeff, what game is this about? Because I don't remember a talent system or
which talent system are we talking about?
Right. I think you mean perk system.
We're talking about traits and skills.
No. This is IRL. This is some IRL questions.
Oh, okay. IRL. I don't know if I'm actually talented at anything.
Yeah. You got a rockin' beard. You're pretty talented at beard.
No.
Talented at beard?
I hate beard.
Okay. Then why do you have beard?
Because I'm lazy.
If hate beard, why beard?
Because I'm lazy.
Because lazy. Okay. All right. Well,
but I mean, I'm not. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm not going to say I'm not talented at certain things or whatever.
Sure.
But I personally don't see talent. Like it's like if someone works hard and becomes good at something at working hard, great. That's awesome. If someone is naturally gifted or talented at something, cool, good for them. Like I said, I'm kind of not understanding the question, I guess.
Well, you don't think that. I mean, you don't think that. Okay, so a long time ago, my sister was telling me about this concept, right?
Okay.
She read in a book that you got. People say this all the time, so just bear with me. That you got like two kinds of people in the world, right?
All right.
You got people that basically think that like what I'm good at, and that's what I'm good at, and that's all that I'm good at, right?
Okay.
And you've got other people that are just like that understand that it's like, well, if you work at anything, you'll get good at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But there are some people who basically who don't really believe in learned skills, at least for themselves. That if you ask them, they'd be like, man, I really wish that I could play the guitar. You'd be like, well, go learn how to play the guitar. And they'd be like, I could never learn how to play the guitar. I'll never be good enough, and blah, 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 blah. And they've got all these excuses, and they will never start because they intrinsically just don't believe that they could just start playing the guitar, that eventually they would probably be good at the guitar.
Yeah. That's weird.
So I think that
because I don't think anyone is naturally talented to the point where they can just pick up a guitar and automatically start playing, Freebird, out of never having touched a guitar before.
Well, so I mean, when I was in high school, I knew this guy who was not like that, right? But he picked up instruments super fast.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just guitars; it was like horns and drums and like things that don't even have any like analog to each other. He was a fairly natural musician. Or I've known people, I went to art school, right? People who have just always been good at drawing, right? That like not, drawing the Mona Lisa when they're a kid, right? But they just have they're kind of wired for it, right? Yeah, that whether it was something at an early age or whatever, it's like they look at drawing and they can either just like absorb stuff and then regurgitate it very easily, or they're just intrinsically good at stuff like that. And I think that Jennifer is right when she says that our culture values that more than they do the other thing, more than they do spending 10 years becoming really good at something.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I get why our culture does that, because it's why, as someone who maybe wants to and this is part of it, someone who is in the position to give someone a chance to make a living at doing that thing,
right.
Who would you rather get, the guy who knows how to do it instinctively or the guy that you have to wait 10 years to learn it?
I will answer that question. You want the second guy after he spent 10 years doing it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the reason they value it more is because it's the thing is that we live in a society right now that's I want it now.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't want to wait for that 10-year guy. They want to wait. They want this guy who just instinctively knows how to do it.
Yep.
And is that right? No. I mean, because someone who's instinctively good at something is only going to be as good so far, and then you have to wait to see if, okay, well, now that they've hit that wall of where they can grow naturally, just by instinctively knowing how to do something or picking up something easily, are they going to be interested enough to push forward and then actually put the work in to improve themselves, or are they just going to be like, I'm good enough as I am?
I know a lot of people who fit into that second category.
Yeah, well, and that's actually the big problem that you find is that the people who work to learn something, as opposed to someone who just instinctively knew how to do it, who had that natural talent, you find that the people who have the natural talent, they're like, well, I have the natural talent, so what I'm doing is obviously good enough. Right. I don't need to be better. And then as opposed to the person who has literally worked and slaved and spent years crafting this skill and just being a master at it, and knowing that even at the level that they're at, they could be godlike in their abilities, and in their heads they're like, I'm still not good enough. I still have more I need to learn. I still need to keep going.
Right.
Because that's how they've gotten good at it.
Yep. No, I know exactly that, and I think that, I mean, for my money, I think the answer to this question is just that we don't acknowledge or show the process of learning a thing.
Yeah.
It's not interesting to us for the most part, and it's
actually very boring.
Yeah, and it's actually a thing. It's actually a shame. It's I haven't talked about it in a while, but it's a thing that was brought up on one of the Cracked podcasts I listened to, where they said that like. Look at anything, right? Look at like losing weight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is that it is incredibly profitable for the people that run both food companies and the weight loss companies, because they're the same people, to try to keep giving people this like, it doesn't take any work and you could do it tomorrow and 6 weeks from now and you'll be fucking like, the entire internet is that. Like every place I go to, probably on Rage Select, there's a thing, controversial weight loss pill, or like it was the acai berries or whatever a few years ago, or like but in all honesty, the thing is that we've known how to get fit for a long time. You have to eat less and you have to work out all the time, and like that's just what you have to do, and that's really boring. And it's not something that people, or like you and I were talking on the break about learning how to play the guitar.
Yeah.
And, Jason has said to me a few times, he's poo-pooed on Rock Band, where he's like, why would you want to play Rock Band and not just learn how to play the guitar? And it's like, because playing the guitar is 5 years of pain and calluses and not being as good as Eddie Van Halen until the day that you're, I don't know, kind of better. You're better than most other people.
Yeah, and then you form a shitty punk band.
Right. And then you get laid by the grungy punk rock girls. But I've experienced it in my own life where I'll draw something, right? And people will be like, some people, they're just like, oh my God, you're a wizard. And I'm like, no, dude, you can do this too. Anybody can learn how to draw shit. You just have to draw some shit, and then you will learn how to draw shit.
Well, and I will actually, give an example. I'm not going to name names, but I actually know someone, who's a friend of mine, and a friend of a lot of people. And he was a guy who started, like, he wanted to make comic books,
right?
And he was like, all right, I'm gonna write the books because I can't draw, so I'm gonna write them. I'm gonna hire artists, and he just had terrible time with that, just bad experiences. And then one day he's like, you know what, the only way I'm ever gonna make comics is if I learn to draw them myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he started, and basically it literally was a thing where he's like, these drawings suck, but he literally worked, and it's like, what, 2-3 years since then, maybe more, maybe 5, 6, something. It may be a long period of time.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't know who. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about, but I'm being vague for because I don't want to just name people's names.
Right. Okay.
But is he the best? Like, it's been like 4 or 5 years, I think, since he started this, and is he the best? Like, is he Jim Lee No, he's not.
Jim Lee is not the best. What are you talking about?
Well, there are people that love Jim Lee. I say him because he's a big name that everybody knows.
Okay.
Is he John Romita Jr.?
Okay, that's better.
Kurt Busiek. Not Kurt Busiek. That's a writer.
Travis Charest.
Is he Frank Quietly? I don't know.
Frank Quietly is good, but his faces are weird.
Yeah, his potato faces.
Why does he do that? Why does he squunch up everybody's faces like they're weirdos?
He looks like mashed potatoes.
I don't know.
But anyways.
Very strange.
But anyways, my point is,
right.
Could he get a job at Marvel tomorrow?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Is his art tremendously better than when he started?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because he draws every day.
Yep.
Because he basically went, even if it's a small picture, even if it's just some little doodle, he draws something every day.
Yep.
And he gets better because of it.
That's what you got to do.
That's literally that's for anything.
Yep. Yeah.
If you want to get good at something, you have to work at it. Even if you're not working hard at it, if you put some work in it, some effort into it,
yep.
It's going to be slow. It's going to take time, but you're still going to get better at it.
And I think the reason that society doesn't care about that is because it's long and boring and slow.
Yeah.
And it's not a fun story. Whereas just being like, look at this guy and how amazing he is, and it's like, or some 4-year-old who could play Metallica, and you're just like, great, wonderful. But for most of us, we're going to have to actually learn how to play Metallica.
I'm also pretty sure that friend listens to this podcast, and he might be like, oh my God.
Oh my God. All right, this next one comes in from our friend Illegal Swede, who says, greetings, Rage Lords. I consume a lot of media, as I'm sure you do too, and I've noticed that many films and TV shows attempt to crowbar in romantic subplots despite them feeling forced and detracting from the focus of the story. These relationships often feel underdeveloped and can, in some cases, harm the production. Examples of this is the relationship between Aragorn and Arwen in The Lord of the Rings, and the dwarf and elf romance in the Hobbit movies, and the Spock Uhura romance in Star Trek reboot. Man, we're talking a lot about the Star Trek reboot today.
Yeah.
These could be removed entirely with very little consequence to the rest of the production. Why does this happen? Is it to appeal to a particular or wider audience, or for some other reason? Thanks for sharing you guys' thoughts. To infinity and bidong, Illegal Swede. Illegal Swede, I am 100% sure you are a man. It should not be difficult for you to understand the answer to this question. It's for women.
It's for a wider audience. It's
right.
The wider audience answer. It's 100% that answer.
Or, I don't know, for people that are fans of romance, because I felt... one of my favorite examples is this. I think this question is going to devolve into talking about when this shit comes up. One of my favorite superfluous examples, outside of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, because whatever, is Hellboy.
Okay.
There was no reason that you needed to have Hellboy and what's-her-face, Firestarter. There was no reason whatsoever that there needed to be...
Was not in the comics.
Oh, yeah, a romantic subplot. Well, it didn't even add anything to the movie.
I felt it was interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I looked at it.
It added an interesting character dynamic that was not there in the comics.
Yeah.
And I felt like it did add some interesting things to it. Like I said, I mean, that's me. I'm going to be honest, I love the Hellboy movie.
Yeah?
It's literally probably it's up there with one of my top favorite comic book movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I've seen it like twice.
Yeah. I love that first Hellboy movie.
Really?
The second one I think is good, not as good as the first one, but I like the second one as well.
I remember seeing the second one and feeling like it was all right. It did all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that, again, I think a lot of this comes down to, we're talking a lot about production and stuff like that, but I feel that there's like some suit up there in Washington that's like, you got to have, or in Washington, the president is coming.
It's like, movies, you got to have more romantic stuff.
More smooching.
My wife really likes it.
That's right. No, but there's somebody up there in Hollywood with a clipboard that's like, well, we've done the market research and we found that, if you're going to get any women to come see this movie, you're going to need to have a certain amount of...
I think you are. I think that is totally a thing that's happening. But I also think from a writing standpoint, again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about Hellboy.
Yeah.
Is that sometimes it may not even be that they want to get a different audience or whatever. Sometimes it's, oh, well, this is an interesting character dynamic that was not there before,
right?
That was not present in the story, and I think this could lead to something down the line. Maybe not impact anything right now,
right?
But somewhere down the line, it could create something that wasn't there.
Okay.
And I think that from a writing standpoint, because that's where you want that interesting character interactions. You want those, like, what is this change due to these two characters? What is this relationship? You know, if these two characters are not in a relationship, then why do they care about each other? Why does, outside of being friends, how does that change how they, you know, like if one guy's getting tortured and he knows a woman, he's worked with her, but they're sort of friends, and she's getting tortured, and like they're like, we're gonna kill her unless you give us the codes for the whatever thing. He could be like, well, no, she's just a coworker, kill her. I'm not gonna give you the codes to go destroy the world. But if it's the woman he loves.
You know, but I kind of feel like that's like
it's a cliche thing. It is a cliche
shorthand.
It is a lazy shorthand cliche thing. But you got to admit, then that character goes, is he going to go, this is the woman I love, but you know what? I'm still not going to give you the codes. And there's that element of, I'm not giving them the codes, but it hurts me emotionally because this is the woman I love. You don't have to go the cliched route with it. But it's my point is that it's from a writing standpoint, though, it leads to more interesting things. So it's not always 100% mandated from above, but I do agree it also is that as well. There is that element of it's to appeal to the widest possible audience.
Yeah.
Maybe not in every 100% every case, but in most of them, yes.
I guess I have a hard time in a lot of the cases where it seems like they're like I haven't seen Hellboy in a long time, but I do remember with Lord of the Rings it upset me because Lord of the Rings was about as scene for scene as humanly possible the books turned into movies.
Yeah.
Except when they introduced that and had to essentially write a new subplot into an existing story. And it was just like, dude, come on. Like, you were really close. And I remember being upset about it in the first one because was Arwen the one who came and saved him on the horses instead of the other lady?
Yeah.
And I was just like, why are you doing this? And then it just kept developing until, then they had the love triangle, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, man. I kind of just wonder, like, girls that are into that are willing to be dragged along to go see a Tolkien movie anyway, like, did they really, they're getting it? Because that was like a teeny tiny part of this giant movie about dragons.
They were there for Legolas. The girls were there for Legolas.
Okay, well then that's fine. If you could, put more Legolas in there for all I care. I'd rather see more Legolas scenes from the books than a bunch of shoehorned in, just like blah 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 blah. Because I remember that. I remember when what's her face from Rohan meets Aragorn, and she's all like, "Oh, I dig your shit," and he's just like, "Yo, bitch, I'm engaged to that elf over there." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sad now." Boop. And then, like, that's the entirety of that plot.
Yeah.
It'd have to be this whole, like, oh, I'm stuck to this warg, and now I'm in the river, and, oh, he's dead. It was the stupidest subplot. Like, he just fell off, and then they were just like, oh, well, I guess he's dead. And then it's like he just wakes up, and he's like, I'm not dead. And they're like, hooray, you're not dead. And it was like, wait, what the fuck point did that serve? We knew he wasn't dead. It was kind of just a anyway, sorry.
Anyways.
That's the one thing in those movies that really kind of gets on my nerves sometimes. But yeah, the Spock Uhura thing I definitely felt was...
I felt like that was just let's do something different with Spock.
I thought that it was...
That could be interesting.
You want to know a fun little tidbit about the Spock and Uhura romance?
Okay.
Uhura got Spock's parents killed in the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. Because when Vulcan was imploding, he's like going down to go in the transporter bay, and she like stops him in the hallway to make him talk to her for like 20 seconds about what's going on, like fill her in. And then if you watch, it's like if they had been beaming them up like 5 seconds earlier, Spock's mom would have been alive. Boom.
Okay.
Uhura killed Spock's mom. I'm saying right now. Boom. I want to go back and watch that movie again now. All right, one last question. This one comes in from Slimer. I have no idea what the fuck is going on with this.
Slimer from the real Ghostbusters?
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is even sent from like some kind of crazy like throwaway account. Says, sup, Slimes, Slimer here. Are video games a waste of time? Really think about it. Pros, cons, Slimer. No.
Well, I have to really think about it. Because this is Slimer asking me to really think about it.
Yeah.
And if this is Slimer from Ghostbusters,
this is the Slimer.
If this is the Slimer,
you want to make sure.
I got to give him the proper respect.
Okay, all right.
Maybe?
No.
No, it's not.
Video games are a form of media. If you're going to say video games are a waste of time,
so are movies, so are books,
so are TV shows, so is music, so is TV. We had this question a while back. All forms of entertainment are worthwhile to people. People will attempt to devalue them to you, but here's the thing. Even if you're not learning something or growing as a human being or being taught a lesson, being able to disengage your brain from the stress of everyday life by forms of escapism is something that human beings have been doing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And if you deny people any outlet to take, they will, generally speaking, go crazy.
It goes back to cave paintings on a wall, man.
Yep.
What do you think those were? They weren't just typing those like, this is how you kill bull. It was I kill bull. It was amazing.
Right.
And everyone's like, ooh, and there's a picture showing you doing it. That's amazing. I
mean, the cons of video games, I'm not going to totally write this off. There are some definite cons for video games. A lot of them are designed, like we were just talking about with Diablo, to be highly addictive.
Yeah,
and that's not even just I'm not using that as a euphemism. That Diablo shit, literally they know how long that you can go before you get it.
Look at mobile games, free-to-play mobile games.
Sure.
They're designed to get you jonesing to unlock that, to get that thing, to keep playing it, so that you eventually want to give them money, so that you can keep playing more of it for longer. And maybe even unlock. How many mobile games have I played? Because I play a lot of mobile games on my iPad.
You do. You do it.
And they're games that when I actually sit down and think about it and I take myself away from the game, I'm like, why the fuck am I playing this game? To unlock a new costume version of Spider-Man that doesn't play any different than any other version of Spider-Man in an infinite runner game.
Yep.
Why am I playing this? Because I want to unlock another version of Spider-Man, because I want the Spider-Man that I like, you know. But in all honesty, it's like, I don't need to play this. But it also allows me to turn my brain off and just do something mindless while, I'm not thinking about anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you try to fill your entire life with things that are only I don't even know, not a waste of time, quotey fingers, you're going to have a really weird life, and you're probably not going to be able to talk to other people.
Well,
honestly, what did the Avengers do for your life?
Yeah.
Nothing. If video games are a waste of time.
What is watching The Flash or watching Daredevil?
Or Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones
teach you something new about life? No. Did it make you a better person? No. Did it do anything outside of entertain you for an hour? No. The only difference with the video games is that they tend to entertain you for 8-hour chunks, and some of them are hundreds of hours long with replay value and stuff
it's a little bit more interactive.
Right. And that interactivity, actually probably... in fact, I could make an argument that says that, if you're going to do something that's just blah, I'm going to sit here and do this thing, it's probably better to be doing something where you are putting something back into it, as opposed to just I watched all 6 seasons of Cheers last weekend. It was amazing, right?
Yeah.
There's at least something to be said about the fact that you are impacting the world of video games. But yeah, there's definitely cons. They're also expensive. You know? They're very resource intensive.
Oh God, games are expensive.
They're real expensive. There's a lot of them. We got all of these problems with
we're in a bit of a boom right now.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, not right this.
Well, not right this second. I meant the last 2-3 years have been kind of. There's a lot of games,
especially if you have a PC.
Yeah.
If you have a PC, you can just take your pick. You can pick a genre and just stick to. Hell, man, like I said, I was playing Smite. Smite's free to play. I haven't put a dime into that game, and it's already gotten good 8 to 10 hours of my life out of it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing it. I think it's fascinating. But think about the people who have only been playing League of Legends for the last 5 years and playing it for 8 to 12 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
So it could definitely suck away your time, and if you're not careful, it could definitely suck away your money. And there's plenty of times where I've gotten games that are totally not worth the $60 that I paid for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've known people who've gotten addicted to EverQuest, and to the point of it not only being bad for their health, but them doing things that crack addicts would do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason people
dick.
Well, it's not necessarily that, but where they would steal from family or friends or run someone over with a car because they tried to stop them from being able to play the game. I'm not joking. That actually happened to a friend of mine.
What?
And these are things that they can go too far, obviously.
Sure.
Of how addictive. I mean, there's a reason that EverQuest used to be EverCrack. It's a joke. But I mean, so yeah, there are definitely cons about that, and you have to be self-conscious about about it to make sure that you're not getting addicted.
Or you can get yourself a job that relies on you being addicted. Hey.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. There's plenty of pros. There's plenty of cons. At the end of the day, though, I don't think you can summarily sit in judgment of any one form of media.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what was it? I was talking to someone about argument about someone was saying that comic books are not the same thing as novels.
Right.
If you a written book is infinitely superior to a comic book because a comic book is just pictures, whereas a book is you have to imagine. I was like, well, no, there's you have to imagine stuff in a comic as well. I mean, you have to imagine what's going on between the frames and the thing. They're different mediums.
Yeah,
but they're the same thing. It's all entertainment.
I think that there was it in Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics where they talked about that. That I actually was like, you can make an argument for why comic books are actually a more engaging thing than a novel, because a novel, you're reading the words and imagining what's going on. But in a comic, you do have to do the work, whether you're doing it subconsciously or you realize you're doing it or not, of basically filling in the action of what happens between this panel and the next panel, right?
Yeah.
It kind of requires imagination on your part, more so than just like, and then he walked over and he sat down and blah, 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 blah. And that's not, I don't want people to be
yeah, no, it's a completely different argument. And I only bring it up to kind of explain, like, saying that video games are a waste or are a waste of time or whatever, and then, but also saying that movies, TV shows, books, comic books, whatever, are totally viable. Sports are totally viable.
You maybe make
because you're
physical
exercise.
sports, you're getting exercise.
Yeah, you're getting exercise. But I'm just saying, like anything, like
but any kind of escapist media, right?
And when I said sports, I more meant like watching sports.
Oh, okay.
Not so much playing in them.
Yeah, I have a real hard. We've had this question come in a couple times in a couple of different variations, and I like talking about it because I think it gives me a chance to look at it. But like, the last person I think was that they had a friend who was like, you need to put up these baby toys and start. And it was just like, anybody that says that to you, if they do anything, all you have to do is say it's. And in fact, as I've said multiple times before, and this is one of the reasons that I love video games more than just about anything else, is that video games are actually something different than all the rest of those things that I just listed off. In the fact that for the first time in human history, we have an interactive medium that can essentially simulate things that we previously just had to either imagine or do ourselves. And with the fucking VR, man, if they don't tank that shit, like you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
And that's our show for the week. So Slimer, there's the answer to your question. Go eat some hot dogs. Actually, I kind of want to eat some hot dogs. I can get some stuffies. Some stuffies up in here. mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Sending your questions every week. We have a show to do. John, thank you so much for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
I'm going to go waste some time playing video games.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What?